I try my best to be of love and light, but there are some days where, you know how people say hate is a strong word. There's some times where I feel like hate isn't as strong of a word as I need it to be. And you know what? This is the live stream where I'm going to express that. So so yeah, it's just going to be a very honest chat. Um you know, I'm not going to, I mean, there might be a motivational message in here because that's just naturally my default. That's just naturally what I do. But I want to hold space for rage and anger and frustration because that was a feeling that I was feeling this weekend. And I was going to get on here and rant. I kind of had like a little personal rant the other day. And I was like, you know what? Let me just calm down a little bit first, and then, I might get into that. Um, so yeah. Um, hold on, let me just. Okay, these live streams are the wrong names. All right. Okay, so the one on Kick. All right. Shout out to my one viewer on Kick. Hi. Hey. Okay. So yeah, so I just wanted to hold space for rage and for anger. Um, because I was feeling that. And basically it kind of like stemmed from me seeing my mom and feeling like, um, you know, like I was being tried by the people that was working there just a little bit. And and I like try my best to tread lightly in those situations just because like I know these people work where my mom lives. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to like be problematic and come off as rude because I feel like there's times in the past where where I went to go see her and I was like more assertive about like, asking questions, and then people try to get a little snippy with me because I didn't. They're like, "Who are you? Like you don't come around basically." And it's like, "Yeah, because I live like an hour away and I work full time, this and that." And, and so like, I don't want to be rude, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I feel like people take my kindness for weakness. And like at the same time, like, bitch, it's my mama. Like, bitch, you got me fucked up. Like, trying to fuck with my mama. You know what I'm saying? And so like, and then also like something like what my mom like do, like, okay. So she sometimes like um she'll eat and she'll keep food in her mouth, but she'll take a while, like she'll take her time eating, and sometimes she won't, like she'll like lay down while she's still eating, and I'm like, no mom, you got to finish your food, don't lay down. And her roommate tells me like at one point, like, yeah, that was a concern because there was one time where she was choking, and I was like, bitch, what? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, why did I not know that? And then like, and then plus like just other shit that was going on that was like irritating me, and I was just like, okay, bitch, and then like my day kind of turned around from that point because I was like, it didn't go exactly how I wanted planned, but it kind of did at the same time though. Like I kind of planned for me to not, but like potentially, I had multiple plans of what I wanted to do, and then what I ended up doing out there was like, okay, I just actually something I need to do anyway while I'm not here. And so, but then like I got home and everything, and I was just really thinking. I was just like, yo, this shit really pissed me off about my mom. And it's like, bitch, I don't play about my mom. Like, bruh, like and I was just like, now looking back at it, I was just like thinking like, damn, why was I so upset? You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I have a reason to be upset sometimes. Like I got a lot to be mad about. And for me, like, and I don't know, I just felt like this rage in my body and my, not even in my body, just like my whole soul, like my spirit was just upset, and like to a point where it was just like a calm anger. Like I wasn't like lashing out or anything because I don't really do that. You know what I mean? I might have my little rants or rages or, rages or whatever. But like, I felt like just this anger in my spirit, and I was just like upset at the world, and I was just like really like because again, like I said before, like I really try my best to be of love and light. I really be trying to be the type of person that pray for their enemies. Like I don't claim any enemies, but I'm sure there's people that might have problems with me. What I don't know, whether it's stuff they heard or shit from like eons ago that they still salty about, even though they should be grateful for all the things that I've done for them. But that's beside the point. And I was just really thinking about like, just the things that I've been going through, and just like, people who give me a hard time and all this stuff. And I was just like really angry because I'm like, bitch, I'm sitting up here like trying to do all these fucking affirmations and listen to this motivational content, not just because it like sounds good to do, but like literally because I'm really trying to work on myself as a person. Like I'm really trying to be a good person out here. I'm really trying to grow. I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. I'm trying to evolve as a person. And so to like vehemently, like constantly feel like I'm being like judged and attacked, and just like, or just like people just being disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like that shit really, like it was grinding my gears. And my thing is like, I I'm fucking trying. You know what I'm saying? And have been for years now. And it really bothers me because it's like, yo, you know, leave me the fuck alone. You know what I'm saying? And that's really how I felt. And it's not even just that, but it's like, especially like if I'm gonna go see my mom, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's the little shit like that. And it's like, bruh, everybody got a mom, everybody love their mom. Bitch, I love my mom too. So like why give me a fucking hard time? All I'm trying to do is go see my mom and like, and spend time with her. And I already missed out on time that I wanted to spend with her. So it's like, why give me a hard time? And like my whole thing is like, and like I said in my last live stream, it's like, I really feel like people take my kindness for weakness. Like, oh, she not about it. She not that. She ain't got that smoke. And the thing is, when people be trying me, like it's very strategic. And it's like, okay, whatever. This might have been a clever chess move for you, but it's like you fucking with shit that really mattered to me, and I don't give a fuck about playing chess with you. At this point, I really don't give a fuck about your existence. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you keep trying me. And the thing is like, bitch, I can flex my left hand. Like I can flex my left hand, but I don't know where the limits go. So whatever happened to you happened. And it's like I'm at a point where I'm like not giving a fuck about people. And the thing is I be trying to love people. I really try to love this planet. I try to do good things. I really try to give back how I can. If I can't give back directly, if I got a little extra something, I try to donate how I can. Like I'm really out here trying to be a good person. I'm really trying to like mind my business. I'm just trying to grow as a human. But I feel like people keep testing me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you keep testing me. And I'm like, bitch, you might get a response that you might not want. Trying to fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? And whatever happens to you on this planet, I can't guarantee what happens if you fuck with a witch like me. But my thing is like, and it's at a point where like, even if whatever happens to you, I might not even give a fuck. I might not even care. And that's not like me. That's the thing. That's not like me though. Like I really care. I really care about people. And even people who give me a hard time, like I still try to find ways to like, okay, you know what? I know they're trying to project onto me what is really going on with them. Maybe I'm not going to take it personal. I'm just going to be above it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to vibe high. I know they on some low vibrational shit right now, but I'm like, bitch, you get me. If you get me to a low vibrational space, bitch, you testing waters that you might not have the skill set to swim in. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, some people like are that are comfortable, like, bucking back and like, want the smoke or whatever. But because I'm a kind person generally, and I try to be loving, because that's not my territory, I don't know how crazy that shit can go. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm big and bad and I'm the toughest broad. I'm just saying like I don't know where the limits could go. I just know like I've been like, I'm sorry, hold on. I just know I've been like, spiritually evolving and growing and like enhancing my spiritual knowledge, as a spiritual being on this planet, and just like my energy and power. And sometimes like I'm learning how to control it, and then there's some things where I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know I could do that. You know what I'm saying? And then, but I feel like with rage, just rage, and just like all the things that I feel like I have to be upset about through the years, and just like things that's been done to me, and people that's like treated me a certain way, and like me not retaliating then, and just like it building up. I'm like, bro, you don't want the fucking smoke. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying that because I feel like I'm the toughest person in the world. I'm just saying because, bitch, I don't know how the smoke going to come out, and how it might come out might be a detriment to you as a human on this planet. And I'm just saying, like, bitch, you keep fucking with me, and bitch, you might be fucking with yourself in a way worse way. You know what I'm saying? But and at the same time, like, I just remember, like, I was like really not like sleeping well. Um, and I just remember waking up in the middle of the night. It was like 4 in the morning, and I just, like, the first thing that came to mind was like Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction. And that's just what I felt like in my soul. You know what I mean? I was just like, I don't know why that came to me. And I was just like, and mind you, like, I don't practice Hinduism or anything like that. But there's certain symbols and things that like I use in terms of like the Hamsa hand. Like when I'm on these live streams, I have my Hamsa hand as like a symbol of protection. Um, but like for those who don't know, I'll just share on here. And just like have her in here briefly. But she's a very intense energy. And like, and can be like quite scary. But that's how I was feeling. Like, and I don't know, I had like a really odd dream. But yeah, like, she's this Hindu goddess. And she's associated with time, doomsday, and death. And yeah, I was just like feeling like, bitch, I understand. Like, and she's known as, like, she could be a gentle mother but a fierce warrior. And so and like the like physical manifestation of her is like this image of her like holding somebody's head, holding like a machete, and like standing on Shiva. But like, and I think she was like her husband. And the whole thing was like, let me just read her story just so I say it right. Um, and like to some it could be like scary, and it's like, oh my god, what's this? But like there's more to her though. You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's like, some understanding is like, you know, she can be gentle and motherly and loving, and she represents fertility too. But at the same time, like, she slays demons. and and so I'm trying to find, like, there was this one article that I read. I'm trying to find something like short and sweet that like gets to the point. Okay, and she has like a skirt of arms, which is like crazy. And but like the thing was, she was absorbing this dark energy to defeat these demons, I believe, from the story that I read. Okay, so they were like, okay. Okay. So, all right, there's one version of where she came from. So it relates to the warrior goddess Durga, who had 10 arms, each carrying a weapon, and who rode a lion or a tiger in battle, fought with Mahishashura. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. The buffalo demon. Durga became so enraged that her anger burst from her forehead in the form of Kali, Once born, the black goddess went wild and ate all the demons she came across, stringing their heads on a chain which she wore around her neck. It seemed impossible to calm Kali's bloody attacks, which now extended to any wrongdoers, and both people and gods were at a loss of what to do. Fortunately, the mighty Shiva stopped Kali's destructive rampage by lying down in her path. When the goddess realized who she was standing on, she finally calmed down. From the story explains Kali's association with battlegrounds and areas where cremation was carried out. And I believe Shiva is like her lover or her husband. And so, he was able to calm her down. But the thing with her, like, just like being caught up in that rage, and you know, and yeah, so I was like having this moment, and I don't know, like for some reason, like that, she came to mind. And mind you, like I don't know a whole lot about Hinduism, but I know, like I was like, Kali, like I don't know why that came to me, but I just felt that energy of just like that anger and that rage, and I was just like, and I just briefly read about her story, and I resonated with that, and I was just like, oh my god, this shit is crazy. But like just that dark feminine rage, and that's a side of myself that I try to keep tame. you know um just because like I don't generally lean to that side. Like I really try, like I enjoy being like happy, like I like being happy, I like being goofy, I like to laugh, I like to be joyful. I don't really enjoy being in the space of rage. Now sometimes that energy can be productive for me, and I feel like people know that, and people intentionally try to push those buttons to get that like out of me, because like I can channel that energy into like art and creation, but sometimes I don't be in the mood for that. Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm not going to create. I'm just going to like feel this rage, and everybody's going to feel this rage because I'm feeling this rage. And I wish you'd stop pissing me off, and that's what it is sometimes, And I know sometimes that dark energy, I'm usually good at channeling that into something more positive. Um but there's times where I'm like, no, I don't feel like creating. I don't feel like writing right now. I feel like destroying demons, you know? And that was just kind of like the vibration that I was on. And the thing was, I didn't immediately like fight it. I just kind of like held space for it. And I was just like, you know what, this is what I'm feeling right now, and I'm not gonna like neglect it or like run away from it. I'm just gonna hold space for this emotion, because like a lot of times I try not to like linger in that space, and a lot of times I don't. Like I'm very good about like, okay, like I know I'm in a low vibe space now, let me do these things to get back positive. I'm pretty good at that. But sometimes I feel like it's okay to hold space for those negative vibrations, just so you're not suppressing it, you know what I mean, and you're not like neglecting it so it like builds up. And I was just kind of like holding space for that vibe, because I was just like, what, I'm feeling this anger, and I never really give myself the chance to feel it. And I'm just like, we're just gonna chill in this space right here. Yeah. I'm feeling rage in my spirit, and I'm just going to like sit in this rage for a moment. And I did. And eventually, like, I started like leaning back into the content that I usually watch. Like, a lot of the Reverend Ike videos, and just like a lot of the things that he says is like, a lot of the things that reflects in your reality you have control over. Basically, like, you know whatever, you can think of a negative situation, or tell yourself it's a, or mentally shift your mindset and your perspective to see the positive rather than live in that negative, doom of a reality. And so I was like, I did need that, but I was still kind of like feeling upset. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like take it easy this weekend. And so like I did my hair because I was planning on doing my hair a while ago anyway, but I was like, all right, let me do my hair. Because I know like that's a chance for me to kind of like, clean my hair, but also like energetically like clean my mind. Um, and just like kind of like pray over my thoughts and my perspective in my brain. And so I was like, all right, let me do that. And then I was taking time to do my hair because like my hair has gotten so long over time. Like I'm just like I used to get extensions to get this length, and now it's my natural length. And I have like some little short pieces that kind of like fell off or whatever. But like it's still longer than where my hair was when I first started. So you know, um, so yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna hold space for this emotion that I'm feeling right now, and you know, and I was still listening to the positive content, and I was still like kind of like working through some of the affirmations, but I was just like, I still like, there were still certain things that like triggered me, and like made me feel like away. And then I was just thinking about like certain references that like people um say, I feel like, or insinuate in terms of like um my ex, because I know his birthday's coming up, and my former bandmate, because I know I've been doing like more stuff in Philly or whatever the case may be, and honestly that person could probably not even live there anymore, and I really wouldn't even fucking know. Like I really don't be checking for old girl. I really don't. I hope they're well, but and I don't know. I just feel like, I feel like people know certain buttons to press with me and like certain things to like say and reference. And like at one point, like certain things used to be like a weak thing for me. And like I had emotions that could have probably been manipulated. But like, you know, something I was really thinking about in terms of like, I'm just like, I don't know how deep I want to get into it on here. But like I should though, because it's like it's my platform, and like, I record enough streams where it's like who cares. But like essentially, like at one point in life I had feelings for my former bandmate, and it translated into me making Divine. And sometimes when I think about that project, like when I think of it sonically, I'm proud of it, like as music goes. I feel like it's not the best music that I can make in the world, but like I feel like it's good for what I had. And then I've been listening to it a lot more recently just because like of me working with the flash drives and everything. And I was just thinking like, you know what, these are some good songs. And they produced two of the songs that's on the project, which were like throwaways from my previous band. And and I was just like really thinking like, I'm just gonna be a little vulnerable here. I just like part of me kind of like felt like foolish for even liking her. Um like part of me gets it because like the music thing, and like like there was like a artistic chemistry. But at the same time, like I just felt like, when I just think back to like the friendship, like I just felt like we probably weren't as close as I think, or what I think we were, mainly because like they were in school and I wasn't. And so when we would link up, it would just be like, like the music thing, or we would go to concerts and like we would hang out and stuff and talk. But, I just always felt like, they were closer to their college folks. And then plus, like, there was a point in time in a relationship where like things took a turn, and things took a turn with like all my relationships. And I just felt like all the people that I considered loved ones and friends just became like fake as fuck, and were like doing shiesty shit behind my back and not telling me, and just kind of like exposing me online on this platform that I have no access to. And in a way where it's like really unfair, because it's like, for one, I can't even like speak up and defend myself and like call it out. And then like, and if I do, then people like try to gaslight me and say like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, like, you know, we love you. And so like, you know, it's just like this perpetual thing of like, bitch, I know you lying. And it's like, why can't you just tell me what your problem is? Hi, Angie. Angie was like, well, this conversation is getting a little emotional, let me come over and be a support. Thanks, babe, I appreciate you. um but yeah, and I'm just like, I'm like, bitch, I know you lying. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, why you gotta be fake with me? Like, and mind you, these are like a lot of friendships that I had for years. For years. Like, you know, some friendships almost 10 years, friendships almost like over 5 years. And it's like, the fuck is your problem? Like, why can't you keep it a buck with me? You know what I'm saying? And it's like all of y'all, like, oh, so all of these motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? And so like there was a point in time where like that was going on, and it drove me into like this really crazy depression, and you know, and it led to a suicide attempt. And you know, and after that moment, like, you know, I was kind of like, I was in a very vulnerable space emotionally, mentally. And so, like, you know, the people who showed up, I was just like, oh, Nerese, maybe it's just all in your head. Like, you know, and there's a saying where it's like, you know, when you hit rock bottom, like the people who show up are really the ones that care for you. But like in hindsight, I feel like not always. You know, some people are there just to be nosy, or some people are just like, you know, are like so dark that are like, bitch, how did you survive? You know, and you know, and when I think back to that time, like I realized there were certain people who were doing the things that triggered me before then, while I was in the hospital, and even after I got out the hospital, from that experience. And I'm just like, you really don't care for me, like just as a person, like. And there's not a part of you that feels like, yo, damn, this is kind of like too far, like, damn, this is kind of fucked up, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't a thing that certain people considered. You know what I mean? And like, don't get me wrong, like I understand like in certain spiritual spaces, like you know, like if you're really into like hoodoo and like, you know, witchcraft or whatever the case may be, like there's some left-handed people like, all right, whatever happened to you happened to you. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like for me, it was just like, yo, I'm really trying. Like I'm trying to, I can peep the vibes is off. I'm really trying to do right by y'all. And it's like, I feel like you're giving me a hard time. And like, and it drove me to a wild depression where like, I didn't even want to be here anymore. And even when I was in that space, people didn't even let up. Like people were still fucking with me. And I'm just like, yo, like y'all really foul for real. And in the time, like I didn't really like notice it. It was still kind of like going over my head because I was just like in that mindset of like, oh, but they showed up though, like they were there for me, they visited me. And I was looking over the red flags because I was just like, it had this newfound like epiphany of like, you know what, a new appreciation for life. And so I was like really in this musical space, and I was like writing a lot, and I wrote Divine during that time, the song. And so, and then like from that moment, like I was just like, oh, you know what, I just need to have this love and appreciation for the people in my life. And so then I kind of like like opened like the emotions of me having feelings for this person. And you know, part of me was just like, girl, they don't even deserve. um, Knowing what I know now, you know, and just like the growth and evolution that I've had through the years, and like healing self-love within me, and then healing like just like the perspective of like the truth of what was going on around me. And I'm just like, you know, and there was like many times where I gave people chances, and I was hanging out with certain people again, even though they was doing a little shiesty shit to like set me up or whatever, or like just try to test me. And it's like, why test me? Why can't you just like ask, you know, like, or you know what I'm saying? Or just like if you feel like, you know, I'm like if you feel like I'm falling short as a friend in a particular way, like fucking tell me so I can fix that shit. And then, you know, I just got to a point where I was just like, you know, I kept hanging on to certain relationships because I knew people for so long, like certain people I grew up with. But then I got to a point where it's like, that shit don't matter. Like, you aren't being honest with me. You're being deceptive. And and there were certain things that I did where I fell short as a friend then and there, and I made mistakes, and I owned up to it, and I tried to apologize for it. But there were certain shit, that deceptive things that was going on in that time, like even before I was messing up with certain people. And I was just like, bitch, you was like lying to me before I got to the hospital, after like this, like, bitch, you've been trying to set me up for like, like you just been playing with me, playing mind games with me, and just trying to be manipulative, realizing. And that goes for a handful of people. That's not speaking about anybody in particular, but just a plethora of people. And I just got to a space where I was just like, look, I'd rather be on my own than be in the company of people that I feel like I can't trust and I can't be my authentic self with, or people who aren't authentically expressing themselves with me. You know what I'm saying? And I just realized certain people was around me for clout, and I'm not like the most famous person in the world to my knowledge or on my platforms, but like, there were certain people that were just around me, and I was just like, I was thinking he was being a genuine friend, but I realized like he was really just trying to manipulate me. And and so like I was just kind of like revisiting those emotions, and just knowing that there were certain times where I felt like people used my feelings for, or the feelings that I once had, um for my former bandmate or whatever, like to try to like manipulate me or whatever, you know? Because, like, when people know what you want or know what you once desired or desire, whatever the case may be, some people will use that as like a carrot and try to like dangle it, you know what I mean? And like try to like bait like reactions out of you. And that's happened to me before. And then I was like, okay, bitch, we not letting that shit happen again. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's funny because like my ex at one point like even said, he was like, oh, like you guys are like twin flames. And I just feel like that's BS. Like, you know what I mean? And I've heard like iterations of that, but I'm just like, okay. And like, in a like gullible, like lovey-dovey perfect world, like that sounds like a cool thing. But just like me in a space now where like I know who I am, I know my worth, and I'm probably worth more than what I think I am. And just like knowing my value, knowing what I bring to the table, and just knowing how loyal I've been and how I keep giving people chances, and just how loving I am. Like I've made mistakes, and there's times where I could be shady, and there's times where like, I might not have been like the perfect friend or lover, but like I know I love hard, and I know like there's times where I literally gave people my last because I loved them and because I believed in them. There's times where people were in life or death situations, and they were going through depressive situations, and I was there for them. There was times where, there was like dangerous scenarios that happened, and because people were with me, and I like, like I felt the vibes, even though I didn't know like what all was going to happen. Like I felt stuff was off, and I'm like, all right, we should leave. But because people were with me, like, you know, they weren't in a situation where their life could have been threatened. You know what I mean? And, and I think people forget that. Like, they forget how I've been a blessing in their life. And when you hear so much like negative things insinuated about you, you start to feel like, damn, maybe I'm not a good person, or maybe I wasn't, and then I had to like slowly but surely like nurse myself back to health and like empower myself. And that was me going into this like motivational content, and like empower. um Hi, hello, I don't know who this is, but hey. um um but I had to like empower myself to really remind myself like, no, Norris, like there's, yeah, sure, you all right, you fucked up here. It could have been better. But there were times where like you were a lot of fun. There were times where you were so supportive. There were times where you showed up for people. There was times where you've been a great friend, and when they needed you the most and you stopped everything to be there. There was a time where you were a great lover, and you were a great partner to be with, and like, you did so much, to be there. Like even like, one ex in particular, Like I know they would hang this one situation, the one time that I messed up in the relationship, and mind you, we weren't even together when it happened, because I was like, look, let's just go on a break, and I was like doing my own thing, and then we ended up getting back together. But and I just think about all the things that I did in that relationship, and then I was thinking of something else recently, and I was just like, bro, back when you was dusty and crusty, literally, not trying to be shady, but I am. And and it's no shade to all people with eczema. It's just shade to my particular ex with eczema, because I cared so much. There was a point in time where I was doing like research in different products and like looking up like, okay, I know like black soap. I see that black soap is really good for people with eczema and good in terms of like, relieving some like pain and like helping their skin and stuff like that. And I was looking up all these products and like shea butters and all this shit that I was getting, from my ex at the time, just because like I know he had eczema. And and I was like buying all these products and just like because I cared, because I loved him at the time, and because like like I gave a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And so like when I think about like, the things that people try to like, all the negative things that people try to like hang over my head and just the mistakes that I've made, I'm like, my nigga, you should be grateful you had a girlfriend like me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, I might have messed up this one time, but like, can we acknowledge all the many times where I got it right and I went above and beyond? And it wasn't even like I was doing it to want like the praise or the award for it. I was just doing it because like I love this person. And and when other people, probably doubted this person or was just like, girl, why are you even with this person? I saw the best in them and I believed in them. And and even after we broke up, we like relinked. Even after said incident that they like to, people like to reference all the time, we had linked up and hooked out. I mean, hooked up. We had hooked up and hung out after that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why are you mad all of a sudden? Because everybody else mad at me for whatever reason. Because it's popular to try to defame my character. But like, really, you of all people should be the main person defending me because of all the things that I did and all the ways that I went out of my way and just like showed up and supported and just cared for and loved this person. And I'm just like, it's many of my friends that really should be the main ones defending my character because of the times when they ain't have no fucking friends. And I was constantly there showing up to events, you know, and it wasn't in a way where I was like trying to like be a freeloader. No, it was because I cared. I cared about what they were into and what they did. And I loved them and they were my friend. You know what I'm saying? And we had things in common and and I felt like I could be myself around these people. And then so when you have people that you love and that, you've known for years that you value, and it's like, okay, you mess up, but it's like, all right, everybody messes up. We all have low moments, but we can get through this, and it's like, all right, I can have the accountability to look at myself and be like, all right, I fucked up here. Let me fix this. Let me do better. Let me work on the thing that probably caused the drift, even though you're not saying anything, even though you're not holding me accountable or like, being honest about your feeling. Because I'm friends with you, I know when shit is off and I know when shit is weird, but I'm going to do this work on myself anyway to prove it to you that like I love you and you're my friend, or and you matter to me, and that I'm somebody that you can rely on. And even throughout that, nothing was good enough for people. And I realized it got to a point where like no matter how much I did right, people were banking on me to mess up and make a mistake so they could just hang it over my head. And then once I got to that realization, I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm not, we not doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I just got to a point where I'm like, all right, I do think it's important to put that work in for people that you love, like your family and your friends. But I think it's more important for you to do it for yourself, to prove to yourself, like if you want to change for the better, that you can. And if you want to be a better person, that you can be that, whatever that looks like for you, not for the perspective of other people. Because it's like, no matter what, like, unless you're a twin, you came in this world by yourself and you probably going to leave this world by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you just have to like get to a point where you put yourself first, and not in a selfish way, but sometimes it has to be in a selfish way, but in a way where it's like, the only way you could be good for other people is when you're your best self. And I realized I wasn't my best self at that time. Like, I was a toxic version of myself. Like, I was drinking all the time, I was smoking all the time, I was always hanging out late, I was, dating around, I was messy. Like, girl, it was a mess. You know what I'm saying? It was fun. Like, it was a fun era. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna act like I ain't have fun. Like, it was a good time, but it was problematic, and I didn't really have the value and the like self-respect for myself like I do today. Like, today, it's not like not like opposed to having fun in those ways. And it's like, I'm not like I'm never gonna drink and smoke ever again, but like, it has to be intentional. Like, I have to feel safe and like I'm around the right people, or whatever. Or it's more for like a celebratory thing, but it's not like a I need to smoke to get through the day thing. And that's where I was, you know what I mean? Or I need to go out and drink every day thing because this is the only way I can have a good time. And it's like, really, I could just have a good time being by myself, these days, because I got to a space where like I really built the care and the love for myself and the value for myself. And there's certain things that I would used to be like, I used to fall into and be baited by, that like, that shit doesn't intrigue me anymore. So like, like how I was feeling, where like I felt like certain things were being insinuated and referenced, in terms of like, people that I might have had feelings for in the past. And I'm like, look, I really don't care if I was in love with this person. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care if they came into my life and was like, oh, would you marry me? And I'm not speaking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying in general. I'm like, no, you have to earn my respect and loyalty. You have to earn my love, because at one point I gave it away so freely. You know what I'm saying? I would just like let people slide because I was like in my feelings and all these things. And I was like, no, bro, bitch, you got to work for this, because I worked for this. Like, I worked to be the woman that I am today. I put so much work to be the woman that I am today, and I still have more work to do. I'm not saying I'm perfect and I got it all figured out. Like, right now I'm trying to catch up to Elon. I'm like, all right, look, Elon get up at 7 in the morning, bitch, I need to get up at 6. And I don't always do that, but that's my challenge right now. I've mastered the whole discipline of, you know, can I be around alcohol and not indulge? Like, that's easy for me. That's a cakewalk. But there was at one point in that journey where I was like in that addictive, impulsive state where it was a challenge for me. And I did so much work to like get above that. And now I'm like just trying to work on my habits and work on my routines, and work on the things that's going to make me like better as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, and just as a future mogul. Because that's what I'm claiming for my life and my reality in this lifetime while I'm here. And that's a big ask, that's a big want, but like, shit, I want it. I came this far dealing with the shenanigans that I've dealt with, so I might as well just keep the shit going. You know what I'm saying? And just see how far it goes. And so I get into all of that because like this weekend I was feeling like this like strong like anger and like emotions, and just anger at people trying to like use that to influence me and trying to use that to like manipulate me. And I'm just like, yeah, sure, there might have been like people that I was like madly in love with. And and in a perfect world, like, if we could be together, would I be opposed to that? My thing is like, it's not like people could just come in my life at this point and think that like we just gonna be friends, or we just gonna be like whatever. No, I'm starting from scratch with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I know my worth, I know my value, and I know that I have to work to earn people's trust, just like they have to work to earn my trust. As just as in friendships and people in general. And I'm willing to do that work, but I'm only going to do it if it feels organic, if it feels genuine, and if it's honest. And if there's just certain shit that was going on with the people in my life who knew me for a long time, where shit was going on for a lot longer than I knew. And I was like, bitch, you've been playing in my face for years, essentially. And it's like, and you think you like, and I don't care what people try to like hype up. For one, I don't believe shit that people say anymore, because it's like, anytime I follow like people's insinuations, like it always leads me astray. And, I end up, getting like fooled. And we're just not doing that. But you know what? Speaking of being fooled, right? Hold on. Angie, girl, I need you to not. All right, give me a second. I need a little sippity sip. Okay. In terms of being fooled, right? There's this video online. I'm going to play the video, or I'll see if I can find it. It's definitely been viral. It's gone viral again recently, but this shit came out years ago. And I wonder where this man is. All right, I'm gonna play the video because I'm gonna play the whole thing because I think the message is important. So yeah, I'm just gonna play it on here. Okay. So yeah, it's been playing. I mean, this came out years ago. I remember when I first seen it, like almost 10 years ago, and then it's just started resurfacing online. Some of y'all might have seen this or might not have. Okay, hold on. I gotta get this first shot out the way because she's not about to. Angie, girl, you gotta step outside for a second. Girl, not while I'm driving. Come on. Come on. You just give me 10 minutes. Yeah. Child, my fur baby just be so problematic. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just gonna play it on here. Maybe if I full screen. Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, I'm just gonna pause this music.
Got the serious look just like y'all got. That serious, intense look. Because he's trying to find his way. He's trying to figure it out. It's frustrating. I'm trying to listen to God. I got my own flesh and my pulling me here, my own desires, my family, my friends, all these things is distracting me from the truth, and it's difficult to give in, especially when you're young, man. But if you can go through it, you'll come out like gold. If I can go through the fire. They don't want to go through the fire. They want the lotto and go to Jamaica in the Bahamas and do their own selfish thing. But he said, if you wait till I exalt you, I give you the desire of your heart. But it's difficult to wait because everybody's in a hurry. Technology, it's fast. It's in a hurry. They're angry. They're frustrated. They ain't got time. They're on the cell phone. They want to text message you. Y'all in the same car. You going to text message him. He right there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in a hurry. I don't know where they going, but when they get there, oh, they going to be sorry. The faster you try to get there, that career, that money, and you're going to figure it out that, man, it was the journey. It was not the destination. You was in a hurry to get there, to come up, to be this, to be that. And when you get there, you're going to feel discouraged more than you did before you even started to get there. Because it was the journey, the people that you didn't stop to talk to like me at check-in. The people at the gas station. You was in a hurry to get there, but it was the journey. It was the gas station. It's checkers. It's the journey, not the destination. Because the destination is steadily evolving. We always growing in wisdom and knowledge and understanding. It's always evolving. And we can never obtain it because it's steadily, constantly evolving. The more humble you be, then the more you can be fulfilled with the truth. But when you think you got it and you're on your way, then you're going to get less of it because can't nobody talk to you. You can't stop. You're in a hurry. It's a difficult thing, but you got it. I see the intensity. Especially being with him. He ain't nothing to play with. Then he talking to me, and you seeing it, you like, wow. You already amazed at his skill and your relationship, but he's showing you the journey. That's very important, amen. He's showing you how to relate, connect to the people. I'm gonna say this. It's a man with pushing a basket. This man right here, they brilliant now. Don't look at the outside appearance. I've seen him in action. He was pushing a basket, and I was under the bridge, and I was talking to everybody except him. He was the last person I talked to. He said, "Why didn't you talk to me first?" He said, "I should have talked." He said, "Don't you ever pass by a man pushing a basket and don't acknowledge him. I never do it in my life again." I talk to the person pushing that basket. How's your day? How you doing? I talk to the homeless people because they say be careful how you entertain strangers. And most people that came off the street and they got their career together, they won't even let you know that they've been through it. They try to act brand new. It's a testimony. What you went through, what you go through, it's for us to inspire somebody else. It's for me to pull the weak ones up. It's for you to pull the weak ones up. We don't go through this because of our own selfish reasons. We go through this to give them a testimony of how far God has brought me. It was never about me. I thought about me. Why I'm going through this. He said, back up, man. Who you going to inspire? Who you going to tell somebody about the glory and the grace of God if you don't go through it? Get out of yourself. And once I step back, I be seeing the deep things of God. And so I don't play with him. I don't ask him for a lot. I just say, give me my portion for the day. I don't want a lot of things. Just give me enough that I can deal with. He said, I give you, but fulfill your bond greater than you can ever ask. I know what you desire. I know what you need. But Lord, give me my portion where I can be grateful. Where I can be thankful. They unthankful, they unholy, they ungrateful, they got a job, they don't want the job, they got 40 hours, you can't work on Saturdays, you can't work on Sundays, now you got 3 days, they always complaining and griping and murmuring. Stop it. He said be grateful with the little things. And wait, and I put you there. But he gonna put us in a place where they appreciate me in the job. I don't hate going to work. I gotta watch my back. They backstabbing. You making the money, but I can't go to that job because I gotta watch my back. They haters. Put me somewhere where I love going to work. I can get up and they appreciate my work and I blend in. God say, I'm gonna put you there, but if you wanna get it, go ahead and get it.
What do you think about haters?
That's a part of the balance in life. They hate. They don't know why they hate. Tell them why they hating sometimes. They don't know they're hating. It's just standard thing. They get angry. He taught. Every way when he taught them. They hate. They don't even know why. Because they're not about to teach them. They're not about to take time to let them know why they're doing things they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole purpose of life.
Right.
Let them know what they're doing wrong if you see it. I always knew I was doing wrong. What about when they showed me long suffering?
This is what I'm talking about right here. What that wasn't the main reason why I started this, but it's like, and that also brings me to another clip of something that I watched while watching Reverend Ike. Is this woman, she used to be doing drugs and she used to be into like witchcraft and stuff like that. And then she started going to Reverend Ike and then, started doing like the visualization stuff. And then she got her life together. She, went to nursing school and then became a nurse. And then, she's clean and everything. And, and she was saying like, it was a journey for her. And then the thing that he would say is like, look, if you're trying to manifest stuff for yourself, you can't always tell people, because sometimes your friends and people, they're gonna be like, oh, you can't do that. And I've heard that multiple times. I heard, child, look, I'll get into that another time. But she was like, she did it anyway. She went to nursing school, and then, and she became a nurse. But the thing is, before then, when she was going through it and she was, on drugs and doing alcohol and stuff like that, she was like, look, if you see people struggling, like, don't just talk about people, help them. You know what I'm saying? Like, help them try to get their life straight. And I get it. Like, sometimes you can't help certain people and they don't want to be helped, but it's like it's better to help somebody than like trying to shit on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see somebody down, like, try to pick them up. Like, you know what I mean? Don't try to like look down on them, or or talk bad about them, and then, or like, talk bad to them, but you're not helping. And and I've referenced this before and I'll reference it again. Like, there's a song that I wrote that's not out, but I'll reference the lyrics. But it's like, it was kind of like criticizing, you know it was talking about like during the time in the journey where I was into African spirituality. And sometimes, like, there's certain times where I'll like, there's elements of that where I'll um see it manifest in my life. But when it comes to my spiritual journey, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, universal. But that's beside the point. But you know, the line is like, I'm not trying to come for your religion, just Christians whose actions work against them. Those who bully those who think different. Isn't that what they did to Christ Jesus? And it's like, I know there's that whole like stereotype of like, how church folk be going in on people and being shady and stuff like that. And it's like, that's true because that's people. But it's like, you can't preach like forgive your neighbor and, and love thy neighbor and forgiveness, but you constantly kicking somebody down and like, and you shouldn't lie and stuff like that, but you being deceptive. And like, you see somebody struggling, you see somebody, but it's like, girl, look at her, look at this, she got you, can't you see what she had on? You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's like, I know there's times where I've gossiped about people and I'm not proud about it, and sometimes I kiki and get into my critical thing, but I never want to like tear somebody down though. That's the thing. Like, I've done that in the past, and now I've had my little shady moments where I'm like, girl, child, she not hitting them notes like that. But even then, like, I don't feel like the best about that. So I try to check myself. When it comes to like music and the arts, I'm going to give my opinion. Like, it is what it is. But again, like, I don't do it in a way to like tear somebody down, which brings me to another live stream about a particular song that I do want to respond to, or give my opinion on, but that'll be another live stream. But my point in pausing it right here is like, look, if you see somebody down and out, whether it's somebody that's homeless, somebody that's on drugs, or just somebody that's not in the space where they used to be, and like, say they might be doing stuff that you don't really agree with, or you're not like, or just say like they're in like just in a wild phase, like say I was like, I would have been, you know there was one time where I was kind of like dating around or whatever, and my brother's friend, like, he was like a big brother to me at the time. He kind of like checked me. He was like, "Hey, yo, you moving kind of crazy." You know what I'm saying? And I was like offended because I was like, please, like, in my mind, like, I grew up watching them like try to holler at girls and like hearing them talk about women. You know what I'm saying? Like him and all his like friends, and I was just like the little girl in the corner, just kind of like paying attention. You know what I mean? And so to me, like, when I approached like dating at the time, when I really think about it, like, in my mind, I feel like I have this white man ambition. Like, white men think they can do anything, and they don't, like, they think without limits. Like, the richest white men in the world, like, they just go for it all. And I'm like, bitch, why can't I do that? And I kind of had that approach when it came to dating too. And I was kind of like thinking like, okay, we're in this world where, like, women are going through this like sexual liberation, and we're being like more free with ourselves or whatever. But and I knew like double standards, I knew double standards were a thing, but I didn't realize how much that would be used against me. And and I was just like, well, damn, okay, if it was a problem, why didn't you say nothing to me? You know what I'm saying? And I would say, like, my brother's friend, you know even though at the time I couldn't receive that message, I was offended. In hindsight and looking back in that time, I'm like, I'm so grateful that he felt comfortable and he peeped me enough to be like, hey yo, like sis, you moving wild. You know what I mean? To check me. And I appreciate that because I had people around me who just did not do that. You know, they might like insinuate things and hint things, but a lot of times it would be in the midst of like a joke or shade. And it's like, all right, if you really feel a way about something or you really feel like I'm moving kind of crazy, just tell me straight up, like, yo, you need to be doing better. You know what I'm saying? And even if it's like in a serious way and I might not receive it in that moment, but sometimes the message will marinate and eventually it'll catch on like, damn, you know what, this person did tell me this, let me get my shit together. You know what I mean? But it's like it's better to like correct each other and check each other, especially when you love somebody, versus just like shitting on somebody and looking down on them. Like, even with like, okay, like in this, like for a celebrity reference, like the whole scenario or whatever that's happening with Lizzo and the dancers or whatever, it's a random example, but like, when I seen that story, I was like, you know anyone's immediate thing could have been like, oh, the dancers are lying, or like, oh, Lizzo's a terrible person, let's cancel Lizzo. And I was just like, I was looking at that situation like, okay, how could this be beneficial for both parties? Like, there should be a way where the girls and the dancers should feel comfortable speaking up. Like, it shouldn't have gotten to a point where they had to do a lawsuit. Like, they should have been able to go to HR or any leadership in that workspace and be able to, raise their concerns to somebody and get, and like, a respectful answer, whether it made the higher ups uncomfortable or not. And then at the same time, like, I don't think Lizzo should be canceled for it. Like, I do think it's a mistake. And, and I think, it's not the best thing and it's not the best move, but, it can be an opportunity where she can learn from this situation so she can do better going forward. And at the same time, the girls should get justice for what they went through. And, and their story should be heard. And, and that shouldn't be something that anybody has to go through going forward. And not just for Lizzo's camp, but for any artist, for anybody that's working with a team of people. And, say if there's ever a situation where the staff feels uncomfortable and they feel like, well, this person's powerful, this person, I work for this person, they could fire me, this and that. Like, people shouldn't feel the fear of being fired just for holding their leadership accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the leader. Not only are you the artist, but you lead these people. So when you're slipping, or if you're doing something that rubs off the wrong way to them, they should be able, there should be some way, some avenue for them to hold her accountable and speak their truth and express how they feel and express the things that make them feel comfort in a way where they shouldn't fear them possibly losing their job. And, and Lizzo or any artist really, because it's a learning experience for everybody, it should be like, all right, you know what, maybe I was wrong here, and, or like, I might not agree or whatever the situation is, but let me take this situation, let me learn from it, and let me show up and be better as a leader going forward. I just feel like cancel culture is like for the birds, because it's like, bitch, how you gonna cancel somebody and like what, destroy their livelihood? I think if people are willing to be accountable for their actions, then that says a lot. And that says like, okay, this person is willing to admit that they're wrong, and they want to grow and be better. Like, another example that might be a little controversial, but I'm just going to say it because I feel like it's actually important. So, some people may or may not have known about, there was FKA Twigs and Shia LaBeouf were in a relationship together, and, the relationship became abusive, and she came out and talked about it. And when she came out and talked about it, I was like fully in support of her. And I still am. Let's just be clear. I'm fully in support of her and anybody that's been an abuse victim in any way. And, and her getting her justice, her speaking her truth, she has a right to that. And she shouldn't ever feel like she should be silenced. And, and she should get justice for sure for that. Whatever that looks like for her, she deserves that. And, and from that experience, I was one of those people that was just like, oh, fuck Shia LaBeouf. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up with him, I grew up watching like Even Stevens and Holes and all of that, and just all his other movies. And I was a fan, and I felt disappointed as a woman. you know. And then, there was this interview that he did with, let me get the name right. Hold on, we're gonna finish watching this, but I just want to say something real quick about that. Um, okay, so he did an interview with John Bernthal on YouTube, Shia LaBeouf, and it was after that situation, and he was kind of like, and Shia LaBeouf was speaking to that situation. He was saying like, um, he was seeking help afterwards, and and he basically and he had a daughter at the time, and so he wanted to do the things that were necessary to correct his actions, so he can show up and be a better father to his daughter. And I was watching this interview, I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna at least listen and see what he given, you know what I mean? And because there were certain times where I was just like, I'm just not here for it. I'm not like, I'm totally down for FK Twigs, and still am. Like, let's not get that twisted. But John Bernthal did an interview with Joe Rogan, and he was saying how like it was controversial that he had Shia LaBeouf on his platform, and people were like, "Why would you interview him? This and that, like blah blah blah." And he was saying like, for one, it was important for him as a friend to like hear his side, but then also like be the friend to be like, okay, how do we make sure this never happens again? You know what I'm saying? How do we make sure that me as your friend can hold you accountable so you never do that to another woman? And and not only that, but offer a space where, say there might have been men who were abusive, can see somebody who had that experience and change for the better. Because it's like, I feel like there's so much, like, of course abuse is not acceptable, and I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying that, there should be a space where people who might have been abusive in the past can hold themselves accountable and grow and shift their actions to be better. So it doesn't happen in any relationship going forward. Because I feel like we so easily just write off people. And I was one to do that. I was just like, nah, fuck him, this, that. I don't care about no other movie he do. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, people make mistakes. And I think if he's genuinely sympathetic in that, and he's genuinely apologetic, and he's willing to do the work, and get into like health groups and support groups to try to like get right within himself, and and show up as a better human, then I support that. And I feel like anybody should support somebody willing to do the work, and make sure that they live out to be better than a lower version of themselves. And again, like, I still feel like whatever justice looks like for FK Twigs, I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? But like, what is a situation where both parties can grow from the situation and be better, where we don't have to write off people and completely cancel people? Like, it's another thing if he didn't give a fuck and he was just like, nah, fuck it, this and that. You know what I mean? And I mean, I guess it could be like controversial, like if some people can say like, oh, it's probably a performative thing, or he's probably just saying the right things or whatever. Like, that's semantics at that point. But I feel like, just in general, if anybody stumbled in their life, or and they did something that was fucked up and wrong, and they want to repent, and they want to say, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be somebody that's abusive to women. I want to be somebody that's better. I feel like we should give more space in this world for people to grow and have the chance to prove themselves. I feel like a lot of times we just write people off, and we don't even give them a chance to like show that they can be better. Like, they'd be like, nah, you cancel for the rest of your life. Like, you can never make any livelihood for you and your family. Like, he still has a daughter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, maybe this is an opportunity for him to grow and learn, so he can show his daughter the man that she should be with. And maybe he can be that change, and show her. And maybe when she gets older, and he can explain like, look, I did this back in the day, but that's not okay. And that's not the example that I want to set for you. And that's not the example that I want for you to date. that's why I'm gonna do the work so I could be a better man and show you what a better man looks like, so you don't date somebody like who I used to be. You know? I mean, shit. If I mean, I'm trying to understand what you're saying here. But like, I'm just not with that. I'm just not with the whole like cancel culture thing and writing people off. Like I feel like people fuck up, and make mistakes. But I feel like what's the thing that's going to work for best parties where everybody can grow and everybody can, the people who felt like wrong was done onto them feel heard and feel comfortable speaking up about the things that hurt them. And then the person or whatever that caused the harm can be held accountable. And you know and if God willing, if they're the type of person that actually cares to be better, actually has the opportunity to prove themselves and do the work to be better. So like I think like the whole like hating on people and just trying to write people off and shit on people is just whack to me. But yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to say on that. And then yeah, so let's finish this video. Oh, I should have like, whatever. I'm still getting this whole streaming thing together.
What about when they forgave me, but I can't forgive him? He did. He made a promise. I made a promise. I didn't fulfill it. Then they go off on me. Well, I got to go off on him because he didn't fulfill his commitment. That's wrong. You got to teach. They don't know. The only God they know is through you, through your experience. They don't know about church because you can't go to church because it's a business. And all the church people, it's a clique, it's a club. And they done forgot about God, it's a business. Look here, it's just the world. Ain't nobody being bold and talking about God because don't pray in school, take the prayer out of school, all
Right.
these things, it's the world. We're getting in a time where God is not popular no more. And if you talk about it, I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in God. I believe in this. I don't care what you believe in. Let my spirit speak for me. Let my action. But it was a time when I was just a hearer and not a doer. But it got to balance out. You got to go through the fire in order to be a doer too. You're going to be a hearer, then you're going to be a doer. But don't let people throw you off your journey. You can't beat nothing. It's between your relationship with God. They can't understand you all the time because you're trying to figure out your way. I'm trying to figure out my way. I can't prove nothing to them all the time. I don't need them to figure me out. All I got to do is just be patient and do what was in my ability, my boundaries. I don't need to outstep my boundaries. I ain't got to prove nothing to you. You didn't feel me? No, you gonna feel me. I can't put the expectation on you. I don't always feel me, understand me. So that's wrong. Be humble. Acknowledge him in all your ways. When I do wrong, I said something wrong to offend you, forgive me. I gotta say it right away, get it over with. If I offend somebody at work, look, if they persecute me, look at God trying to strengthen me to show them who I serve. I say I believe, I'm walking with it. Well, teach them. They don't know.
Right.
They don't know why they doing that to me. Let your light shine among men. They might glorify your Father in heaven. It's real, man. I experience it all the time, 24/7. But I asked for it. I wanted to be a preacher when I was 6, but I didn't know the price I had to pay. Much wisdom, much grief, much sorrow. Ain't no other way you gonna get it. But if you can just go through the fire, you'll be like gold. The first thing they do when you go to a pawn shop and take what they do? How do they determine if it's gold plated or what? What they do? What kind of test they take it through? When you take the jewelry to the pawn shop, how do they determine if it's real or fake? They put it through the acid test. They put the fire upon it. This is how we know if we're real or fake. We're going to go through the fire. You're going to have disagreement with each other, but it's okay. You're going to be friends, But if you have a disagreement, it's just a different agreement. That don't mean you ain't gotta see him no more and talk to her or talk to her or whatever. I want to go to work. I don't want to go to work because they stressing me out on the job. You feel me? They ain't receiving me with my full potential. And I don't know why I don't want to go to work. I gotta understand why. Why I don't want the job? Because something ain't right. And I gotta acknowledge it. I ain't gonna sell my soul for the job. God said, I'm trying to put you over here, or I'm trying to let them know through you, let your light shine. But I'm hating on them because they ain't feeling me. They don't understand me. Hey man, you gotta teach them. You see how they flee?
Yeah.
They want $1, want a quarter. He could have got everything that he needed if he just would have been patient, but it's okay.
Mm.
You recording this?
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm telling the truth.
Hello.
It's all right. I thank God for you. Y'all are blessings to me. A true blessing. I ain't got nothing to hide. My burdens are heavy, but when I'm weak, he's strong through me. He speaks through me. The weaker I get, the more frustrated I get with my life, and I did this, I did that, then the more he speaks through me, the more he takes control of me. That's just where he wants you at. Get frustrated. That's when he gonna speak through you. But he gotta get you in that point where ain't nowhere else to go but to him. He said, those that I love, I correct them. I chastise them. When you go to jail, it's called the Department of Correction, Rehabilitation. But we get mad at the correction. He said, if I didn't love you, I would correct you. He could have took our life. Amen?
Man.
He could take the life. But he corrected me. I just thank God for y'all. I see it in your eyes, but this was Solomon asked. Solomon was the wisest man that lived. He had everything that man could desire. But one thing God said, leave the foreign women alone. But he couldn't understand why he had a desire for the foreign women. But see, the Lord knew that they were going to turn his heart against him. They were going to make him idol worship and build a God. But he didn't understand it. And I'm going to say this, the preacher, he searched the world out. He said, I want to know the basis behind wisdom and knowledge and understanding and foolishness. See, you can't know wisdom and knowledge and should be a fool, but we don't want to be foolish. That's the only way you're going to get it. You got to be a fool first. How you going to know a fool when you see a fool? How you going to know foolishness if you haven't been foolish?
Mm-hmm.
Foolishness, it comes with, it's painful. Because we think we all of that. We got a lot of abilities. We can create. We can send man to the moon.
Pause this real quick.
We can be.
It's almost over. But that's why I wanted to start watching this in the first place, right? You know, I was watching this and I was like, okay, why even got the full circle? Like my tangents be making sense. You know, I pull it together, right? You know, and so what he said about foolishness, and he was like, you know, sometimes people are scared to be a fool, you know, but sometimes you need to be a fool in order to gain wisdom, right? And so, and when I was like kind of like reflecting on just like ways that like people used to fool me and how I used to be fooled and how I felt like I was foolish for loving people and just like having feelings for people, I was just like, damn, why the fuck would I make this project about this person after what they done did to me? And then, but the thing was like, I know I was in a vulnerable state of mind, and I was in the space of like, I had this new appreciation of life after surviving my suicide attempt. And I was like, you know, these people showed up for me. They went to the hospital for me and this and that. But then like, when I really think about it, I was like, nah, bro, they was like fucking with you leading up to that. You know what I mean? But like, it took me being fooled multiple times by people that, you know, I felt like I could trust, that I considered friends and loved ones, for me to gain that wisdom and me to be like, all right, Nerissa girl, like you want to keep letting these people fool you, or like what we doing? You know what I mean? And And the thing is, like, I would like give people chances because, like, you know, I would just give people chances because I would try to see the best in them. I would try to trust their word in terms of like, all right, you know what? I knew this person for years, even though there's been like a few off years. There's more years when we like it was cool than when it wasn't. But sometimes that shit don't matter. Like when shit drift apart, it drift apart. And not only that, but like, you know, when people shift and change, you have to trust that shit and be like, look, this ain't the person that you used to be friends with. You know what I mean? And like, I know you love this person or whatever, or you trying to see the best in them, but like, do they see the best in you? Or does it benefit them to see the worst in you? And do they always bring up the worst in you? You know what I mean? And it's like, and I got to that point where it's like, okay, every time I feel I'm around these people, like, you know, sometimes we may have a good time, but then when I got to sit back and think, I was like, wait, was that bitch throwing shade low key? But if I got to sit up here and try to decipher if you was being shady or not, I don't got time for that, because I'm showing up really hoping that we could turn over a new leaf. I'm showing up genuinely thinking like, all right, you know what, I have love for you, and yeah, you did piss me off and this and that, but I'm willing to look past that because I see the best in you, and I see the person in you, like why we've been friends for all these years in the first place, or why we got together like this, or why we worked together so well in the first place. But it's like, nah, I was so like giving with that, and I've sometimes I give myself a hard time because I'm like, damn, like, girl, these motherfuckers was playing you, girl. But then at the same time, it's like, you only one person. When you got a handful of people teaming up to try to fool you at once and gaslight you all at the same time, it takes a strong mind to overcome that and look at that and be like, nah, you motherfuckers lying. I know it's about 20 of y'all and one of me, but my spirit know you want some fuck shit. And I don't care how many of y'all saying this one thing, I know y'all wrong. Period. I know you wrong, and I know I'm trying to do right. And when I try to do right, you playing with me, and you constantly trying to make me out to be a bad person and this and that. And it's like, I don't got time for that shit. You know, but sometimes you go through those experiences, not necessarily that. I hope y'all don't have to go through no shit like that, but anybody who ever goes through anything like that, or just any situation where you feel like you was fooled or had to be a fool in the circumstance, like, don't beat yourself up, but learn the lesson quick. You know, like, learn the lesson quick as you can. Like, peep it and be like, all right, you know what? I was fucking up here. We not doing that again. And the point of me even bringing this up, and why the emphasis on like learning from foolish circumstances is like, you know, back to like, you know, the anger and rage that I was feeling, and just feeling like, you know, I mean, I'll get more into that after this, but like, yeah, actually, I'll get more into that after this video, because this video is almost done.
Be inventors, but we're limited. If I understand that I'm limited, then that's when God takes control and gives me the wisdom that I desire. Humility. Be humble. If you don't understand your purpose, ask God. But ask him in sincerity. What's my purpose, God? Did you ever ask that question? What's my purpose? Why I'm here? What am I meant to do? But sometimes he can't tell us all at once. It might be too much. But be sincere. He's like,
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty much the message. But yeah, and you know, and I know this video is kind of like slowly but surely kind of like going viral again. Um, but you know, when I watched it, I was watching it in the midst of like, uh, you know, like feeling like rage and just like, and I was just thinking, I was just like, I was so foolish for loving certain people. I was so foolish for giving people chance after chance. And I was like, and I just like was really, and I was listening to my project again. And I was just like, girl, I was foolish for even putting this project together. Like, this person did not deserve all this. You know what I mean? I was just like, girl, the only song you deserve is Alumni. Like, but I'm serious. But like, that's how I was feeling, right? And so I was just like, you know, I was just feeling this anger of like, I feel like people taking my kindness for weakness. I feel like people keep playing in my face because they think I'm not about it, about it. you know, shout out to Master B. Maybe. and and I was just like upset because I was like, I just felt like I was constantly in situations where I was just like a fool. And then I had to like give myself grace because it was like, girl, yeah, it was you against literally Earth, and you still trying to see the best of this planet. You still trying to see the best in people. You trying to love people. You trying to pray for people that go out of their way to give you a hard time. And it's not an easy thing to do. And it's not even like oh, I'm holier than thou. Like, no, it's just like I just feel like that's the right thing to do. I just feel like I understand like people project onto you their own insecurities and but there's just times where it was just exhausting. And I'm just like I'm really fucking trying. Like I'm trying my fucking best. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to give back to the community. I'm trying to fucking like and I'm not trying to do it in a way where I'm like showcasing it. Like literally like the performance that I had last month at a nursing home, I literally bought a burner phone specifically to try to like book gigs like that, but specifically at nursing homes. So like it was in a device that people couldn't like look through or whatever, or it wasn't on my normal phone number. And the thing is, I wanted to record it just for the sake of like, me judging my performance or whatever and how I could have made it smoother. But I didn't even record it. I didn't post it on social media or anything, but I know like certain people found out about it anyway. And it wasn't like oh, look at me be, this. Like I was trying to be as private as I could about it, and somehow like, people find out anyway. But and it's like I do that because like that shit matters to me. Like I performed there as a kid before, like when I was in Girl Scouts and shit like that. And like my hometown, as much as my hometown pissed me off, I still have so much love for the city, and they don't deserve me. They don't deserve me, but I try to see past it. I just feel like loving this planet and the people on it is like loving children when they're having a tantrum. And it's like, I know you're having a tantrum right now, but like I have love for you anyway. And I'm trying to see the best in you and not throw you through a window because you're having a tantrum. But then again, I don't understand like you a child, but it be grown people, I don't know. That wasn't the best analogy. But like, it's just I really be trying. I be trying. It's so hard. I be trying. And then I feel like in certain circumstances, like in recent years, like I've said this before in live streams, like in recent years, I've only had problematic moments because I was in situations where I was standing up for myself. And not only that, but like in doing something where I felt like I had to protect people, but really protecting people that was really just setting me up to fail for like all my life. Like, and I'm just like, can a bitch get a break? Can I get a 15-minute break to sip a little something? You know what I'm saying? Like, my God. Like, and here I am trying to pray for people, trying to be a good person. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make these songs, trying to write these songs, trying to watch this motivational content, make this motivational content. And that's why I say this is not a motivational video. This is really me holding space for like all the anger and rage I've been feeling and why I feel like I feel justified. And I don't need nobody to validate that. I know that I should be justified in the anger that I felt. And just because like I know in my heart of hearts, like I'm a loving person. Sometimes I might not always get it right. Sometimes I take things a little too far, but like I mean well, and I really do. I mean well, not just for me, but just for this planet. And I really care about Earth. I really care about the people here and just like humanity, and not just humanity, but like the animals and wildlife and all like, and I'm not like the expert of it. I'm not like PETA or nothing, but I'm just like, I care. Like I care about that, and it just bothers me. And it really gave me this feeling of rage to be like, yo, like I'm really trying my best. Like I really care about this world. I care about this planet. And to constantly just be dealing with people giving me such a hard fucking time. And it felt like it was just coming from everybody. And it was just like, damn, not one person see the good in me. You know what I'm saying? And thank God that I was able to work myself to a space where I can validate myself, because not everybody is that strong. A lot of people, shit, if their parents say some shit about them, it's the end of the world. You know what I mean? Let alone Earth, fucking everybody giving you a hard time and like shitting on you and basically like, all this stuff. And it's like, bro, like I'm one person, like I'm one human, and I'm not just human, but like this my human experience right now, like, and I'm trying my best. You know what I mean? And it really bothered me when I feel like motivational people, people who like proclaim motivation in their whole careers, is like inspiring people, whether you like a preacher or a motivational speaker or this and that. And it's like, and they shitting on people. It's like people are supposed to feel comfortable going to you to elevate in their lives. Like if you a life coach, if you a motivational speaker, if that's what you do. You said, bitch, I'm the demographic. Like I'm on your page looking for the inspiration. And I feel like in ways like people show like they're selective about the type of people that they want to inspire, and like selective about how they want to inspire and all these things. And I'm like, okay, and so that's why I wanted to do this video, because like I want to do motivational content, because like I said, that shit matters to me. Like that shit helped me get through the darkest times. And I know even if people don't see it now, whenever they find it, it's going to be right for them, it's going to be ready for them, and it's there. But at the same time, I'm human, I'm not perfect, I don't have all the answers, I'm still trying to figure this shit out. People still piss me the fuck off. There are days when I want to mollywop a bitch, you know what I'm saying? I have those days. And that this weekend like was just that feeling for me. And then I was just like really thinking about all the things that like have like built up that rage in me, and just like why I felt that. And I was just like, you know what, Nerese, I'm just gonna hold space for that. You know, I'm gonna hold space for that rage, and just like even the shame of feeling fooled, and like in that video, like sometimes you have to be the fool to get that knowledge. Like I wouldn't be who I am today. And like I said, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still learning. I don't have it all figured out. I'm piecing it together one day at a time. But I wouldn't know what I know now, and I wouldn't have the discipline and the work ethic and just like the nerve to believe in myself and the nerve to validate myself, even when it feels like the world was against me. um and I wouldn't have built that strength had I not gone through those experiences of feeling fooled, or feeling like, damn, I was dumb for even putting this project out. Like this person really, I know this person don't like me like that. We probably wasn't even like friends the way I thought we was friends. You know what I mean? And then, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? But this person was a muse for me, and those were emotions that I felt at one point. And maybe the music can be something that other people can enjoy, and it could be, relevant for them. Like I know, like I am alchemist in that way. Like I can transmute the things that I was feeling and experiencing into music and into art, and it can be palatable for somebody else. Somebody else might resonate with alumni somehow, or somebody else might resonate with divine. um and that's, I mean, ultimately what it's for. Like it's for other people to consume and enjoy. But I mean, really it was an expression of myself. But I was listening to the project again because, like, I was working on flash drives and the CDs and everything, and I was just like, this bitch don't deserve this project. Like now that I know what I know now, and now that I have like I've worked up that space of like loving myself and validating myself and having the self-respect for myself, you know um and I'm just like, like, bitch, respectfully, bitch, you know and okay, so like one thing that, like, this one gripe that I have that I haven't let go. So I had this tripod, right? This is just so funny to me, but I'm so serious. Like it's funny, but I'm not joking. So when you're an artist and you have your things that like you really appreciate and that work well for you, like bruh. Okay, so any visual artist, like if you're a photographer and like, and you have specific things that you like, you get it. Okay, so I had this tripod that was so bomb, right? It just like it was sturdy, it was good. It held my camera right, and I could like flip it to the side vertically. And mind you, I have like a heavy, okay, I don't have it on me right now, but I have like this old school DSLR camera, but it's like heavy, you know what I'm saying? And the tripod just held it so well, right? And so like I forget what I was using it for or whatever. I think I let them borrow it. My previous bandmate speaking, right? I let them borrow the tripod, I believe. I think that was the situation. And so they gave it back to me, right? And mind you, this was during a time where like the vibe was kind of off with us, and I was kind of like pissed at this person, and I felt like they had did certain things that made me feel like they were you like low key making fun of me because I like dropped out of college and they were like graduating that year or whatever, and I was just like, and on my way to going to pick up this tripod, in my mind I was like, I want to fight this bitch. I want to fight her, but I wasn't gonna do that. Like I wasn't built to fight. Like I'm not really a fighter like that. But like when certain circumstances come up, bitch, you know what I'm saying. And in my mind, I was scrolling up like, all right, Maurice, look, if it go left, just step out and then y'all could tussle. I was imagining in my head that that's what was going to happen. And I knew it wasn't going to happen, but it was just exciting to think that like I was built like that for that moment. I was like, we might just have to fight. That just might have to be what happens. A fight didn't happen, but like, there was some shady underlining things or whatever happening. And so they give me my tripod back, right? And it wasn't, and mind you, this person lived in Philadelphia. I don't know if they still live there or not. I don't care to know at this point. But I get all the way home in Trenton, New Jersey, which is an hour away, mind you. And I get home and I check my tripod, and the tripod is missing the piece that connects to the camera. And so that connects the camera to the tripod. And I'm like, this motherfucking bitch. I'm like, this bitch got the piece to my tripod. And so, I was just like, okay, yo, do you got the piece of my tripod or whatever? And they're like, oh yeah, my bad, this and that, whatever, right? And so like time was going by. And then I think at that point we weren't in the group anymore. I think they were like, look, I don't want to do the group anymore. And then I was just like, all right, whatever. And then like time had went by again. And then like, I think it was like leading up until like me being in the hospital at this point, I just kind of like my feelings for this person like resurfaced or whatever, foolishly, right? This was a moment where I was just like, girl, me now looking back, I'm just like, girl, they didn't even deserve, but whatever. And so, and then they were like, yo, like, if you need me to buy you a new tripod, I'll do that. Like, and I was just like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't do that. And I'm like, and now looking back at old Maurice, I'm like, bitch, she should have bought you 5 tripods. Like, girl, that's the least this motherfucker could do. And I was just so upset because like I bought a new tripod and it was it gets the job done. Like I could do my creative projects, but it was flimsy. It's a little flimsy little thing. You put too much pressure on it, that thing going, it looks like a little Bambi, like that's trying to figure out how to use legs. Like it's a struggle. And then my dad got me a tripod for Christmas, I believe. And the thing is, it's sturdy. Like the legs is, shit solid. But it's got like this rolly situation where you gotta like roll it for it to like be stable. And so you could have the camera on there, but like that rolly thing isn't like sturdy, so sometimes you might roll it and you think it's in there like tight, but then that shit starts sliding. And I'm just like, bruh, like the fuck. So I don't like, so now the most reliable tripod that I can use is the flimsy John with the Bambi legs. And I'm just like, okay, I just can't like use it too heavily. You know what I'm saying? I just have to do like mostly horizontal footage. Maybe I can kind of get away with like some vertical if I like situate the camera right. You know what I'm saying? But when you're creative, this shit matters. You know what I'm saying? This shit, it matters. So now, like in hindsight, I'm like, I should have made the bitch buy me a tripod. And not just any tripod, the tripod that I had the first time, you know. Anyway, so I'm over here struggling with these tripods that ain't really getting the job done. And the first one that I had was perfect. It was perfectly sturdy. The piece that needed to connect perfectly connected. You know what I'm saying? And it just sat on the tripod, and then you could slide it to the side, and then sit it horizontal or do the vertical. You know what I'm saying? And it was fine. It did. She did what she needed to do. She was a cute little sturdy thing. She was dependable, reliable, consistent, disciplined in her practice. And then along came this bitch that took the piece of my tripod. And so now I got to struggle with my visual projects. And now, I get my shit off, and, like I can make it work, but I'm like, and so in hindsight, now that I've learned the value of self respect, and now that I've learned the value of self love, I'm like, no, bitch, telling my old self, no, you should have made that bitch get you a tripod. Because I don't know because I think it's like Amazon. I think that's the brand. It was like Amazon Basics or whatever. I don't know if they have the same product or if it's changed at all, but like it just would have been better had she got it right then and there around the same time that I got it, because I could have like guaranteed that I would have gotten the same one. You know what I mean? And so here I am. That's my it's very petty. I'm not gonna lie. It's petty. It's a petty thing. And I'm not ashamed to say that. But I'm upset as a creative, and like any creative, especially like a visual artist, would understand. And even this human as a creative knew what that meant for me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, this bitch did not deserve. And you know what? I should have tussled with that bitch. Because it wasn't until after I got home that I realized the piece was missing. So, and something told me in my soul when I was there, but I was too like concerned about like my fake tussle in my brain. I was like, okay, in my head, I was thinking like, maybe I should check this just to be sure. Because at that time, that was like a lot of times where like, sometimes when you go to order food and then you don't check it and then you realize they gave you the wrong sauce that you ain't asked for. And I was like, bitch, this ain't the sauce that I wanted with my nuggets. Like, come on. So like it was one of those moments. And now I've learned that lesson. I was like, bitch, I check my shit. Every now and then, like, I might like forget or whatever. But for the most part, I usually check my shit. That was the lesson that I learned from there. The first lesson was like, check your shit, before, just so you don't get all the way an hour away home and then realize that some shit is missing, right? So, to have a moment of accountability, I should have checked my thing, right? Second lesson, I should have made her pay for my new one, you know? And third lesson, I should have tussled with the bitch. I just should have threw hands. Like we should have just been on the street fighting. Because at that point, like that was the only solution. That was the only solution. I knew in my soul that I was supposed to fight the bitch because the piece to my tripod was missing. And I didn't peep it until the bitch got home. So I was like, we should have just fought. We should have just fought. And then say if I didn't realize that the tripod piece was missing and if I got home, I'd at least felt better because I would have at least threw hands a little bit. And then, you know what I'm saying? That would have made up for the fact that I didn't have the piece of my tripod, But in a perfect world, we could have like tussled and then like I checked the piece of my tripod and be like, oh, and bitch, you forget the piece of my tripod. Get my shit. That would have been like the perfect situation, but that wasn't the case, and like, like a happy medium would have been like, okay, and then like, and mind you, I probably wouldn't have won that fight. I'm just going to be honest. I wouldn't have won. That wasn't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But I have a lot of heart and I have a lot of audacity to like stand up for myself, even against like the Goliaths of the world. I mean, I think my Everybody Mad video is an example of that, but whatever. But I would have lost the fight, and I'm honest enough to know that, But at least I would have got my little shits off, and then like even if I would have got all the way home and the tripod piece was missing, it would have balanced out because I'd have been like, all right, well at least I got my shit, I got my hits off. You know what I'm saying? But oh yeah, bitch, give me my shit. But no, none of that happened. Like it was just a lose-lose situation. Like, I left irritated and I got home even more irritated. And I was just like, damn, bitch, you should have fought this bitch. Like, you should have. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't happen. It is what it is. But yeah, cool story, bro. But yeah, no, I probably wasn't gonna fight old girl. I wasn't gonna fight her. But in my soul, I wanted to. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did. I wanted to. I was like, and I often think about that moment. I was just like, damn, Maurice, you really wanted to fight that girl. And I'm not a fighter. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And mind you, the duration of our friendship, like she was one of the friends that like never got on my nerves, like ever. Until like during that time where everybody was just being on the like fake shit and like, giving me a hard time and being shady and shit like that. And I'm like, you bro, really? So like, I mean, look, I've wanted to fight everybody at this point, and like don't care. Like at this point, like anybody could get it. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna promote violence. But like I said, this is not a motivational video. This is not a motivational video. This is an authentic, true video about my truth, and I'm being authentic here. So like, anybody that tries to insinuate like, oh, you should work with a producer or whatever, or anybody that tries to make a reference to Down to Mars, like, I'll fight you instead. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Maybe. Not really. No, I'm not. I don't want to fight nobody. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And after loving me, she wouldn't love another. I don't believe it. Sorry, I'm having an old school reference moment. Anybody know that song? Probably not. Um, but anyway. Yeah, so yeah, I was going through these emotions, right? And it's funny because like I can talk about it jokingly now. I can talk about it jokingly now, but like I was really angry. Like I really was. And okay, so like more on the esoteric side of where I wanted this video to actually go. I didn't think I was gonna talk about that or explain that. Wow, it's funny. If she sees this video, I said what I said, which I still, it's like, nah, I'm not a fighter, but bitch, don't test me. Anyway, because apparently I'll fight over toilet tissues, so bitch, I'll definitely fight for a tripod. Anyway, Lord forgive me. This is not a motivational video. It's not. It's not a motivational video. We're just keeping it all the way a buck here. But okay, so with that, all of that shenanigans said, right? So I was watching a lot of Reverend Ike to try to get my spirit right? I was listening to a lot of sermons. Okay, all weekend long, I was listening to a lot of sermons because I was just doing that anyway. And I think, like, honestly, I'm pretty sure, let me just, before I say what I'm going to say, let me just get the facts straight so I don't say nothing ignorant, as if I hadn't already said anything ignorant. Okay, yeah, okay. So he definitely passed away. I mean, I had a feeling, I feel like I already knew that, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay, so, at this point in time, like, I really only care to listen to content from people who are dead because, like, it's authentic. It's kind of crazy, but whatever. But anyway, excuse me. But without even realizing, I've just been listening to a lot of like elders, like, seasoned folks, some elders, respectfully. I say that respectfully. I say that jokingly, but like legitimately respectfully. Because, I know elders have the knowledge. I know they are the wisdom. And that's something I've always knew. That's why even as a kid, like I'd rather sit and talk with the adults than hang with the kids because I'm like, bitch, y'all talking about childish shit. And I'm like, bruh, I don't care about what y'all talking about. But So with that said, I was listening to a lot of his content, trying to get my spirit right and get out of this space of like anger. And then, hold on. And I was a little thirsty. So, and I was holding on to this bottle, like, and mind you, it wasn't much water left in this. Wasn't much water left in this shit at all anyway. But I was looking at this sip like, girl, you talking a lot. Like, bitch, just take the sip. The conversations that I'll be having with myself. But yeah, so and then I stumbled across a video from Dolores Cannon. Okay, actually, I didn't stumble across it. I was taking a shower. I was in the midst of doing my hair. And I came back and her video was on, right? And then I was just having, for one, okay, the precursor to that. I was having these a moment, not only just like this anger for just like everything, and I was just feeling like this anger of like being in the family that I'm in, and being related to the people that I'm related to, because I felt like, you know, like for one, like one instance in particular, like I feel like in the beginning of my spiritual journey, like learning about African spirituality and setting altars for your ancestors, like I like was doing that for years, and I felt like I was, you know, and you know, some they say like in the beginning, like, you know, when you set these altars for your ancestors, do it with the intentions of like building the relationship with them in the spiritual realm more than like you getting an offering to them so they can do something for you. And there was rarely a time where I went to the altar asking for favors. Like I was literally just trying to like get it right. I was just trying to learn the spiritual practice. I was trying to learn how to set up an altar, what things to have on there, what type of foods to make and stuff like that. Like I just wanted to get it right. And you know, I was doing that for years. And you know, and I was, you know, and I felt like it was more of a draining thing than it was like, I don't know. I didn't feel like spiritually fulfilled. But then again, at the time, like I know I had spiritual people around me that was trying to like jinx my altar and like fuck with me spiritually without me realizing it anyway. Long story. But you know, basically like my family is a lot more spiritual than, you know, they lead on to be or speak about, because you know we like to speak in double entendres and indirect communication, but I'm just too direct for that. Like I just like to keep it a bug. I like to just say straight up like, yeah, I was setting an ancestor altar. I was trying to do these prayers, you know what I'm saying? I was reading about like the Orisha and stuff like that. So I was doing all of this. And it's like for years, I was doing so much to try to honor my ancestors and show respect to my ancestors and like, and try to learn about the spiritual practice in the most respectful way possible. And it's like the one thing that I did that, you know, I did one thing that was like disrespectful to an ancestor. And it wasn't the intent to be disrespectful. It was the intent of, you know, because I was going through like this whole spiritual warfare with certain people or whatever. And, you know, I was trying to do this thing that would bind any negative vibration just out of protection for me and my loved one. And then, you know, that kind of like got displayed online somewhere that I don't have access to. And so like, you know, it just became this whole thing. And like, you know, people referencing, you know, that or whatever. And so like, you know, and of course like I felt terrible about it. And and you know, like, and my whole thing was like, look, it wasn't, that wasn't the intent, wasn't to be disrespectful. The intent was like trying to be protective, because I felt like I was constantly being like under attack and judged and like, you know, and just like dealing with this like spiritual warfare. And you know, and I didn't have anybody to lean on or any elders or seasoned people to give me advice. You know, I'm just literally trying to figure shit out on my own. And you know, and it's like it's difficult when it's like it feels like your back's against the wall and literally everybody and their fucking mama is trying to come for you. And then like the ways that you're trying to figure out learning, for one, but then also figuring out how to defend yourself and how to speak up for yourself and stand your ground. And sometimes you might do that in a way where it might come off as disrespectful. It was like, look, my intention wasn't trying to be disrespectful. My intention was self-preservation and like survival. And literally like, okay, I'm sorry when my back's against the wall. my way of self-defense isn't the most ethical for you right now. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to survive. You know what I mean? Like that was just my frame of mind. Like my frame of mind wasn't like, ooh, let me disrespect this person. Like, no, that wasn't what I was like intending to do. And I feel like anybody who like can even like glimpse my content and and has any sense of my personality would know that like I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just like I just harbor so much anger and just like constantly feeling like I have to prove myself and constantly feeling like I'm like the people that I let down the people that I love. But then when I try to prove that I'm better and I'm like the best version that I've ever been, realizing that the people that I felt like would be proud of that are actually like hell bent on seeing me down. And I'm just like, what the fuck is even going on? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, obviously, nothing that I do is ever going to be enough. And, and then, doing things like unorthodox ways of like trying to like defend myself and speak up for myself and like put my foot down when I feel like I've been crossed. You know what I mean? And it's like, nothing's ever enough for people. And so, and just even feeling that, I was just like, yo, like I hate the people that I'm related to. And I was just saying that. And like I know that's not the nice thing to say. I know, hate is a strong word, but that's how I felt. And this is not a motivational video. That's how I felt because I just felt like, I don't know. And then the constant like thing of like the story of something being mentally wrong with me, when really the only thing that's mentally wrong is that like I'm around like a tribal, I'm dealing with a tribal gaslighting situation where a group of people is everybody else's word against me. And because like my mom suffered from mental illness and the same scenario happened with her. But the thing was I was strong enough to actually like overcome it and kind of understand what was going on a spiritual level, which I don't think my mom did. And plus, like my mom was married, my mom had children. You know what I'm saying? Like her situation was so different. It wasn't like she could just pick up and go. Like she was trying to think for us in the midst of like the hell that she was going through. And because of like feeling all those emotions, and then like after seeing my mom, like, and I'm just like, just everything that was going on with me, and then just thinking like, I wonder what she was going through during that time. And then the people that she felt like she could lean on, you know, basically kicking her back in. And just like, and I was only like 4 when the time was during that time. I was a child and I didn't know what was going on. I'm thinking I have to trust the authority. I have to trust my parents. And I just know that my parents are fighting, and like being an adult now and knowing what I know now and the strength that I have to stand up for myself and really be able to assess the situation, and just like how people have like mentally played with me, the people that I've loved so much and tried to defend and protect and fight for, and the people that I've tried to prove myself to, like seeing how they've manipulated me. And then just like thinking back to like when things went down with my mom, and I was just angry. Like, and like even talking about it now just kind of like pisses me off again. And I was just at a point where I was just like nobody should speak to me today because bitch, I'm upset. And the games that y'all play are foul. Like foul. And I get it, like in certain spiritual practices, like left-handed magic can like, it's not evil, it's dark. No. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Like, and just like me being on my spiritual journey, and then learning that there were other spiritual people around me my whole life that could have taught me but intentionally didn't. And then like when I think back to certain moments where like certain things that I know, like when you tap into your spiritual power, you see it reflecting in the reality around you. And being told that those things were just coincidences intentionally to disempower me, that's where a lot of that rage was coming from. And then like in learning, while I was in the beginning of my spiritual journey, wondering why it was so much hell going on. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, people always say, like, oh, your spiritual awakening is not rainbows and butterflies. Like, that shit, like, the rabbit hole of, like, understanding, like, you know, dimensions and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like, that shit is not a cakewalk. It's not. But it's also another thing when you have people around you that knew those things and was intentionally making your journey hard so you wouldn't wake up to your power and wouldn't catch up to where they what they knew, and realizing that, and I was just like, okay, hold the fuck up, you know. And then like a lot of things in my childhood just started making sense, and I'm just like, no wonder why I rejected certain things as a kid, because even without knowing spiritually, like my spirit as a child knew to reject certain things. And you know, and it's funny, like you know, it's funny, like for example, there's this one story that my father kept reminding me of when I was a kid. And when I was getting blood work done and I was just spazzing out, and you know, and I just couldn't sit still. I was crying, I was kicking and all this stuff, and I was just like, I was having a tantrum. And I wasn't that kind of kid, really. I wasn't really that type of kid to have a tantrum, but I was having like this whole like spasm as a child because of blood work. And then like over the years, like it's gotten better, like you know what I mean. And like you know, just the experience of being a woman and dealing with a period and all these things, it becomes a thing. And just like fast forward to certain circumstances that I've been dealing with lately in regards to like just learning about like how blood can be used on the spiritual side of things, and just like realizing how my spirit was in tune when I was a child, you know, and just certain things that were trying to be placed onto me that I rejected. You know, it was eye opening for me. And just how like my spirit would know certain things without me consciously being aware. And then I'll be like, no wonder why I was listening to that song. You know, I was just listening to the song because I was bopping, and I was like, oh. But then when I was really listening to the lyrics, I'm like, yo, this was really telling me some shit right here. Like, for example, even Aloe, like Aloe on my Divine project. You know, on that song, just to be clear, I'm probably going to have to filter some of the things that I'm saying, because like I'm in a space where I was by myself and I know I'm not going to be in a moment. So just to be transparent, because this isn't a motivational video, this is an authentic one. But just to say, like in Aloe, like just the lyrics was, you know, one, it was a song that I wrote about myself dealing with insecurities. And in that song, I was saying, like, you know, um, I just want to see through your physical. It doesn't have to be just so physical. I just want to see through your physical. And so that was like some of the lyrics, right? And so, like, on the surface, like, it could be like a vanity thing of like, okay, like, I don't care if like you're like super attractive. Like, I want to get to know you, like the person and your personality. And then I was thinking, like, on like a deeper spiritual level, it could be like, you know, like everything isn't just so 3D in this physical reality as a human and the things that we can see physically with our eyes, but there's so much more than just the human, and even, you know, your personality and all of that. But like, to get to know the real you, the spirit you, and you within multiple dimensions, you know. And I was just thinking, like, yo, this shit is deep. And mind you, I wrote that song years ago. I wrote that song, like, I want to say 2017, 2018, around that time. Like, so that song's been around for a long time, you know. And it's interesting how sometimes like my lyrics are like ahead of its time, even for me. Like, and I was like, damn, I wrote this shit. Like, you know. And then also I feel that way with a song, another song that I wrote that I feel like has been online somewhere, where without my consent, but whatever. A song that I wrote, Space Jam. I mean, well, I did the production for it. I didn't actually record to that song, but I did a voice memo of some ideas, like, okay, I wrote like a verse to it, like, and a few other things. And I've done like some voice memos that I've been meaning to like piece together to officially record the song when I'm in a better recording situation. And in that song, okay, before I get to that song, right? Back to the Dolores Can video. Okay. So the reason why I even bring that up, right, is because like I was feeling like, okay, actually, no, let me reference Space Jam. So in Space Jam, in the verse that I write, um, it's like finished trying to fit in a world full of sin. My soul in this realm feels foreign. Most times I can't even relate to my relatives. Where's the door to the next dimension where I'm accepted for what's within? I don't need to fight you for you to understand I'm worthy of love just for who I am. And I wrote that song. Well, I wrote that part maybe like a year ago. It's more of a newer song, but like it's getting old because it's not out yet. But whatever. So I wrote that, right? And emphasizing like sometimes I like um most times I can't even relate to my relatives, right? And so like in recent years, like I felt like more of a black sheep than ever in life. But like even when I was a kid, like even when I would like hang out with my cousins and stuff, like I always felt different. I always felt like I had to like filter the version of me that I really am compared to like when I was hanging out with them or whatever. Cause like okay, it's kind of like when you hang out with your friends or whatever when you a kid, right? And say you might like curse around your friends, but then like when the adults walk in, I don't know, some people be cursing around their parents, but when the adults walk in, like you gotta like filter what you're saying because you can't really talk like you really talk when it just be you and your friends. I felt like that, but like even around my cousins, you know what I mean? And it's like we're all the same age, and some of them was like cussing or whatever when it was just us. But I don't know. I just felt like I had to like filter me, you know what I mean? And and like in recent years, just like it's at the start of my spiritual journey, it just like amplified that, and I was just like it was just certain things that I was learning about my family that I didn't know, or I was just very late to knowing because nobody really like explained it or told me or intended to tell me or intended for me to know. And I was just like very angry about that. And so and why I say that, for two reasons. For one, um I was washing my hair and I came out of our room, and then the Dolores Cannon video was on, right? And for those who don't know who that is, she is a woman who, wrote many books and did like panels and stuff speaking about like spirituality and like UFOs and just different dimensions. And like she had this ability to channel spirit or the divine. And she would get these messages about like just different like understanding consciousness and esoteric beliefs and metaphysics and just different things of life throughout the universe and the galaxy and stuff like that, and like the understanding that like we're not alone in the cosmos, and just like the purpose of being here on earth. And not only that, but just um knowing that like in terms of other life forms and other places throughout the universe, the challenges of being here on earth, and it's like one of the most challenging life experiences compared to other life experiences in the galaxy and stuff like that. And to some people might say like, oh, who is this woman? This is ridiculous. How would she know this and that? But like a lot of the things that she said really resonated with me, and I just felt like this explains a lot. And so I'll get into that in that point. But before then, so when that video was on, I've heard some of her content before, like some of her motivational stuff, but like she was really getting deep into the metaphysics stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is interesting. And so with that, what was interesting to me was that um so her first name is Dolores, right? And so I was thinking about like just the things about my family that was making me upset or whatever. And then I was thinking of like my aunt Dolores, who passed away years ago when I was a kid. And she was one of the few people in my family who I remember, I don't remember like specific things with her, but it's kind of like that Maya Angelou quote where it's like, you don't always remember what somebody said to you, but you remember how people made you feel. And when I think of her, I just remember um, her making me feel like seen and heard. I just always remembered feeling good about her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember specific things, but, I don't know. But then again, like, I was a kid, I was young. Um, but I just remembered, like, I don't know, for in an odd way, I felt more connected with her than I did with my grandmother. And they were sisters. So it was like my great aunt. And she passed away before my grandmother did. But the thing with my grandmother is that, like, she lived further away. And even though I spent more time with my grandmother, I just always felt like, because I have like all these different cousins, you know, I never felt like I had a chance to build a personal relationship with my grandmother the way I would have wanted to. But I always remembered her being loving and and keeping us in check when we were doing too much or whatever as kids. um but I wasn't as close with her as I wanted to be. But when I think of my aunt Dolores, I don't have any specific memories. And I remember, I don't know, it's interesting actually. I remember she gave me this mirror, like this handheld mirror as a kid. And I don't know, with all this like echo narcissist shenanigans, I don't know how I feel about that anymore. But like, actually, like when I think back to that, I know that wasn't the only thing that she gave me. Like, I know, like, I just remember really enjoying her presence and just really enjoying the time that I spent with her. So I felt like, I don't know, maybe in a way she was like trying to reach me or something. Just because I was having this moment of feeling like so ostracized and like such a black sheep. And mind you, I didn't click that video. I literally came in the room and it was already on, right? And so she was talking about all this esoteric stuff and like stuff about spirituality and all these things or whatever. So I was like, you know what, let me roll this video back and like listen to it from the beginning. And then not only that, right? So the image that was used on there looked like there was like a video game edit in the picture with her. It was like random, but it looked like um Gaia, like the video game that I mentioned in my other live stream. It looked like The Illusion of Gaia, which was a game that my brother would play a lot when we were younger. And we had like this Genesis game or whatever, so he would play it. And so I was like, let me see if I can find an emulator for that and like try to play this game. And so I did, and I started. And mind you, I've never played the game before. I would always watch my brother play, like, because he was more of a gamer. Like, he's a total gamer, and I wasn't. There would be certain games I would play, like Tekken and stuff like that. But like my dad played that, or like the Wii with like the Michael Jackson Experience, or like the Just Dance, or in Guitar Hero. It was always like a musical dance type of thing for me. But my brother was very much into the video games. And then like Streets of Rage. That was like the only other thing for me. And Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was like my mom's thing. And so like from time to time I would play that. But I would never do like the serious adventures. I would just always like chill around the mansion and lock the butler in the meat closet. That's what I would do. Or the meat freezer or whatever, just so he would get out the way when I would try to do like the obstacle course, and she's got to like do it at a certain time and run around, and the butler would be so slow and he would just be in the way sometimes, so like you got to lock him in the closet just so you can do the thing or whatever. Anyway, having an old school moment. So I was like playing Illusion of Gaia while I was listening to this, right? And I was listening to her talking about like okay, this one thing that really like stuck out to me. And so she was saying like, okay, let me find I'm not gonna find the clip because the video is too long, but the books that she referenced. And my God, she has so many books. Okay, The Three Waves of Volunteers. and the New Earth. Okay, so that's the book that she wrote, right? And so basically, what she was explaining in that was, you know, all right, backstory. Okay, like there's been experiences with like civilization where humans would kind of cross the line and do too much. And she was saying that was kind of like the thing with Atlantis. Like technology was advanced and they had all these things, but they started doing experiments with like, trying to like breed humans and animals together and all this stuff or whatever. It was crazy. And so, then there's like these higher beings that, kind of like, um, I've heard people kind of explain this about God in a different way. But like, how like there's people, we all have like God within us, within our consciousness. And then, and sometimes why, like, what's the whole point of this whole like earth thing or whatever, and just these experiences. And then, I heard someone explain that, God kind of split his soul through us as humans to have different, experiences as a human, whether it's different emotions, different challenges, different things or whatever. And so, and like kind of like similar to that concept is like there's these higher beings that kind of like, kind of like watch us do this whole like earth thing. And they can't really like manipulate us. They can like kind of like influence certain things, but can't really like tell us what to do, but like, can dictate or see when things are going too far, like with the atomic bomb and stuff like that. And so, and they're, and I guess instead of like starting civilization all over or whatever the case may be, there's these waves, like these energies, I guess, that you can call like spirits from other galaxies and other like solar systems, where like there's life over there, but it's not like the same as it is here on Earth. Like how Earth, we have like different species and animal kingdoms and plants and stuff like that. And there's other planets and other energies, but say they might not necessarily have like a physical human body, but say there's just like an energy force, and say because they don't have a mouth and and a language or whatever, they communicate like telepathically or whatever, like, what I'm saying. So it's like it's different. And so she was saying like there's these spirits or energies or like ETs or aliens or extraterrestrial beings or whatever that come from different galaxies that offered to help Earth, essentially, because like the higher beings can't interfere with Earth, but they can see if they can tell other energy beings from other galaxies or whatever, like, yo, Earth is tripping, they over there building bombs, they trying to tear the planet up. And and because like everything in the cosmos are, you know everything is so connected, like even from like within, even with something as simple as our own solar system, which isn't system like so simple, but like everything ties into each other. Like we all, yes, we're all orbiting the sun, but everything plays its role, and if anything is thrown off, it's going to throw off like the cosmos, essentially. And so she was saying like, we can't let them destroy Earth because it's going to fuck up everything in the universe, essentially. So basically, there's like these other beings that come from other solar systems or galaxies or whatever, that offer to help Earth by like opting to be a human and going through this whole experience of being a human and just trying to like help not tear Earth apart. And then she was saying like, the three waves of that. The first wave would be like people from like the boomers era, like around like the Vietnam War era. A lot of times like people who identify with that experience are people who like often feel like they don't fit in. They don't enjoy the experience of being a human here. Oftentimes they might be like suicidal because they're just like, they don't understand why people are so hateful. or why it's so much destruction in the world. And and they don't really take too well the experience of being a human. And and the thing is with being a human, like there's the ideas of like past lives and stuff like that, and reincarnation. And there's certain people who, I mean, when we're born as humans, a lot of times, most of us, we don't remember past lives if we've had them, you know. And she was saying like other beings around the world, like that's not around the world, around the universe, essentially, don't have that problem. But that's the one thing about being human, is like when you're born into a human, you're there with like fresh memories. You have to go through like past life regression and hypnosis to even like remember your past life, to even know what your like karmic circle is, right? And so um sometimes the spirits or the energies that like agree to help out Earth can get here and like kind of understand that they might have a purpose here, but don't really get it, and then sometimes get wrapped up in the struggles of just being a person on Earth, like just dealing with regular life things. And then that first group were like, it was a challenge for them because it's like they were their first of their kind of like not really being from Earth and trying to live life like a human. And it's just like, bro, what the fuck is this? And then she was saying and then the second group is like the next generation after that, where like things are a little bit easier because there's that older generation that kind of went through, and then they kind of like, I guess their spirit or whatever, or energy, kind of like seen what that experience was like before coming to Earth within that second wave. And then like it gets easier for the next few generations of the spiritual beings coming to Earth, living this life as a human. Just because like, and for me, like when she was explaining this, like I knew like the common person is not going to get that, you know what I'm saying? Like your everyday regular person is like, this lady crazy, what she talking about, this shit ain't real, what is that? And you know what, and honestly I feel like some of it, like I still question, and I'm like, okay, like I might not get everything or understand everything or believe everything, but like a lot of it made sense to me, because like I know that I feel like there's more to this physical reality than just us being humans, you know what I'm saying? And like even when we pass away, like I know spirit and energy, you can see it through just like how things manifest in your reality. Like I always use this example, but like I think of like, I forget where I got this video from. I think maybe like Afterlife from Tyler Henry. Now that I think about it. But then again, I feel like I've seen this on social media too, where like this girl, or somebody, I don't know who it was. It was some human, somebody, their, I think their grandmother passed away, and she was really into uh like cardinals. That was like her, like she was really into that bird. And then so her grandmother passed away, and at the repast at their house, they were in their backyard, and then they seen a cardinal there, and she knew that was kind of like, that had to be her grandmother, because that was like a flower, I mean not a flower, a bird that she really liked. And so, and I think she told her that too. I think that was the thing. She told her like, look, if you see a cardinal, then that's me, communicating with you. And so like just even knowing like stuff like that is possible, and how it can manifest in our reality. Like I just know there's more to just what we see in our everyday life, and the world isn't so logical. Like there's, and mind you, I'm as interested in science as I am the esoterics and the metaphysics of things, because I do think science is valuable, and I do think understanding physics is important, whether it's like something as vast as like astrophysics within like cosmology, or um just something as minute as like quantum physics with like atoms. But then at the same time, like the spiritual side of me feels like it's not a coincidence that atoms look so similar to solar systems. And as small as atoms are, and as large as solar systems are, it makes me think of that universal law, within like the Hermetic principles of, as above, so below. And then just in recent years of just seeing that at literally as above, so below, as within, so without, but specifically as above, so below, seeing that like through magic, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing spells when like, okay, even like this could be a as below, as above, so below type of thing. You know what I mean? But anybody that gets my business card, if you try to do it with negative intentions, it's going to go back to you tenfold. So don't even think about it. Um, but um, but if you bless my business card, you be blessed tenfold. So it's just think of my business card as karma. Think twice before you try me spiritually. Okay, just gotta throw that out there. But like like the my point in saying that is like, okay, so like this is like a miniature version of me. You know what I mean? And it's so like, I don't know, you could just use this and hopefully sit it by $1,000,000, and then maybe like it'll manifest from the micro to the macro, as above, so below, right? Um, and that's like one of the universal laws. Okay, and I say all this to say, like, basically, I think there's a space for science, and I do feel like there's a space for like spirituality and magic and mysticism. And and I feel like we're in a time where that's becoming more mainstream and it's more common, and like people accepting magic and like being into it. But again, like something that I've repeatedly said in my previous live streams, and I will still say this to this day, and I might be biased because of my own experiences, feeling like the scapegoat. I just feel like it's so much more negative than it is positive. And I feel like there's so much more cursing than we're blessing people. And it's like, and me literally, again, as someone that's an alchemist that knows how to transmute through art, naturally I transmute just in general. Like anytime negativity is thrown my way, it's just automatic in my mind to feel like, okay, how can I make this beautiful? How can I make this a positive thing? What's the lesson here? What can I be learning here? How can I like change this into something that's going to benefit the world? You know what I mean? How is this going to benefit humanity? You know, um and that's always my approach. That's always how I've just thought about life. I've always tried to think the optimistic, the glass is half full. Like I'm aware that it's half empty, but I'm going to pay attention to the full side of it. you know and so um with that said, um I just feel like that's been my approach with magic too. And I mean, that's kind of how I've learned, like in ways that I've seen people try to jinx and curse me. I'm like, okay, how can I change this to a blessing? How can I use the same technique but for good? How can I use the same tactic but to bless people? Excuse me. You know, instead of trying to curse and condemn, how can I bless and uplift? How can I use my power? How can I use my magic for that? you know and so with that said, and in me going through like the emotions that I was feeling this weekend, and just like going through that space of anger, and I knew like I didn't want to get to a space where I would just like stop caring about people and stop caring about humanity and just like start attacking people and cursing people. Now it's a difference to defend yourself. Like I feel like if people trying to start with you, what I'm saying, and try to jinx you and hex you and all this stuff, like you have a right to defend yourself. And that's often the space that I'm in, is where I'm feeling like I'm like defending myself. But like, I didn't want to get to a point where I would just like get like Kali. And and she was doing it for good. Like she was coming for, she was using her power to slay demons, but it got to a point where like the rage was out of control, and it had to take Shiva, you know putting himself like on the ground for her to walk on, you know to like sense his energy and be like, oh, hold on, let me calm down. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it's for good, but it got out of control. And I don't ever want to get to that place, because it's like, my heart of hearts and my default is like I love humanity. I really do. I don't know why I love these bum ass fucking humans that be getting on my nerves, but I do. I do. I do be loving these annoying ass humans. But hold on, because the bitch getting a little dry. But and I was just like, I was just going through this like, series of emotions. But when I was watching that video, it kind of like it made sense to me. It made sense to me because it's like, I don't want to think of myself as like some like, oh, I'm like this special person, I'm this special being. I feel like we're all special in our own way, you know, but like I do think it says something, it just resonated with me. It makes so much sense to me. Like I'm like, no wonder why I don't get these motherfuckers. Like I'm not from here. Like I don't get these motherfuckers out here. These ghetto ass humans, you know. But like, I don't know. And then I was thinking back to my lyric with Space Jam, mind you. Okay, so that video, right? I watched it this weekend, and I think that particular video, that panel that she did, because she was referencing um 2012, like that movie. And remember that time where everybody's like, oh, 2012 is going to be the end of the world, right? She was talking about it as if it was approaching. So I was like, okay, well, when she did this panel, this had to be before 2012, right? I had watched that video for the first time this weekend, and I wrote Space Jam like a year ago. So there was no context to that video. It's not even like it was a recent thing. She said like she passed away in 2014, right? So this video has been around for a long time, or at least her saying that had been around for a long time. And then she would say like when she would discuss that in her panels, people would come up to her and say, "Oh my God, like I know what you mean. Like I've always felt different. I've always felt like people just didn't get me. I always felt like my journey was different. Like I just never enjoyed like this life. And and she would say like some people would be like suicidal, and or like they wouldn't want to have kids because they didn't want you know I guess I forget how she worded it, but to me, I feel like people would want to have kids because, like, one, having the attachment of like creating something that's going to stay on Earth, because even after you go, your kids are going to be here, and then but then also like just not feeling connected to even want to do that, like to continue the lineage here on Earth. And so, and just like, and she was just saying, like, people, like, if anybody that's ever felt like the black sheep or just like you were different, and just like, your perspective of life was just different. Like, a lot of people that would go see her panels and her discussions, like, would be those kind of people. And so, and I was just thinking, like, of Space Jam and just what I was like, when I was thinking about those lyrics, and I was just writing that from a pure place. I was just, and I've always kind of been into like the metaphysics type of things or whatever. And honestly, I wrote that even before like really understanding the concepts of different dimensions. Like, I understood like 2D and 3D, and I understand there's probably more that we don't understand in this human experience, because it's like I was saying before about the whole like spiritual thing about like, okay, if you see a cardinal, like that lady was saying to her grandchild, like if you see a cardinal, know that that's me. Like something's happening in another dimension where the energy of your loved one is being moved through this symbol that you're seeing in this 3D reality, right? So something more is happening that you might not physically see, and there are some people who have that sense where they can see, they can see spirit and see like within other realms. But the whole thing of like there's different realms, and so when I was watching this video, I was like, yo. And I was just thinking about the lyrics that I said in Space Jam. And I was just like, yo, literally, this is literally what I was saying. I was saying all of this, like, without realizing, like, how deep it was and just, like, how much. And she just made it make sense for me. Literally, like, Finished trying to fit in a world full of sin. My soul in this realm feels foreign. Most times I can't even relate to my relatives. Where's the door to the next dimension? Where my um hold on. Where's the door to the next dimension? Where I'm accepted for what's within. Don't need to fight you for you to understand. I'm worthy of love just for who I am. And I'm like, bruh, like the whole I was just like, wait. I was like shook by my own words. I was just like, bitch, you wrote this. Like, and again, like I really wrote that from a pure place of just like especially like at the time it was more emphasis on like can't even relate to your relatives because I was just like dealing with so much in my family at the time. But it was, and then I was just writing those other things because it was like, okay, that kind of like reflected how I felt. And, and I like to have like metaphysical references and stuff like that in my music. But just like watching that video of her, and I was like, bro, I feel her. I feel it. Girl, I'm like, bitch, I can't be from this fucking solar system. And like, mind you, I'm so into like interstellar, like space travel. And I'm like, people think that's a joke, but like, bitch, I'm so serious. Like, I'm like, Elon, move out the way. And you talk about Mars, bitch, I'm trying to get the fuck about this solar system. Like, all of these planets, fuck all of these motherfucking planets in this motherfucking solar system, bitch. It's Mars, bitch. In more ways than one, fuck Mars. But like, I'm saying that jokingly. But really, like, I'm like so into interstellar like space travel. And like, and I think it's so interesting because like the only space probes that went outside of our solar system is the Voyagers. And those were launched in the 70s. Them things been around for like 40, 50 years. And they just recently, okay, not recently, but like in recent years, got into a space where, no pun intended, but got to space, like interstellar space outside of our solar system. And what's really cool about Voyager because there's two of them. They're twins, um, and there's Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and they had like different missions, and they were like traveling in different ways. But actually, I have to look up which direction they're going because I think I'm not sure if like one. Like, okay, say the sun is here and we're orbiting and all these things, right? Maybe like one was going this way and then one was going another way. I don't know. I have to like double check that because I know sorry, Angie is like on my lip right now. She always finds a way to be with me, even when she's not with me. I kick my baby out, but she won't have to stay out there until I'm done. But she'll cuddle with me, she'll forgive me. But um, okay, where was I getting at? Voyager, right? Okay, so Voyager, I feel like Voyager's interesting because they're the only space probes that got out of our solar system. It took like 40, 50 years to do that, right? So that's why I'm like, I gotta hurry up and get rich so I can make my space program and get the fuck up off this planet. Um, but like for it to take that long, but it took that long because they had different missions. Like it was supposed to stop at different planets, take pictures, and send it back to Earth and all that, right? And one of the Voyagers, it was really interesting because there's a gold record on one of the Voyagers, right? And there was this project that this guy did. I forget his name. I'll look it up. Where he put an album together and wanted to put messages. Well, one like a record of music, but then also like different messages around the world saying hello, just in case though that space probe is found by any extraterrestrials and for them to hear sounds of earth. There's like images of earth, there's sounds, there's music, and then there's like messages like saying hello from all these different languages. And I'm like, as humans, like we barely understand other languages on the planet. Like imagine that getting to an alien and they're like, okay, what the fuck is this? Like but I mean, I think the sentiment is really cool though. I think it's a cool concept. And mind you, and it's interesting because it's like this was done in the 70s. So at the time, this was before CDs, before streaming music, right? So they have like this record, and I think they might have a record player on there or something like that. It's like, because I'm like, okay, well, how would they even know to like put the CD on the thing and play it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But then again, like at the same time, you know, I I would like to think that there's other intelligent life forms out there somewhere, and although they might not have like physical beings in the 3D reality, but I don't know, like I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. But actually let me look that up and share it with you guys. But yeah, I found that one day having an irritating day at work. And I was just like, you know what? And I didn't have any work to do, so I was just like, fuck it. Let me just and I had it like my what do you call it? Like the home screen where they give you like random articles and stuff like that on your like on like Google or whatever. I had it set so like it would show me like stuff in regards to space. And so it was saying like hold on, let me look it up. So yeah, that whole thing with the gold album came up. Where's your one golden record? Okay, so I'm gonna screen share that with you guys. Okay, so okay. What's on the golden record? Okay, so there's images. All right, hold on. Let's before we even. I'm like, where'd it go? Okay, so there's images, there's music, there's sounds. Like, and the thing with the sounds, I think they have like different sounds of Earth, just like the sound of the ocean, the sound of like a bird, like just different sounds of nature that's on Earth. And then like greetings are like the people saying hello, saying hi and different messages from all over the world, right? And just like the story of how they even put this together was kind of crazy. Um and there was like a deadline to do it, and then even with the music aspect was challenging because like they had to go through the whole like situation of like different record companies and copyrights and stuff like that, and just to get certain songs. And so yeah, it was really interesting. And then like the images. Okay, let's just go through it. I'm just gonna like scroll through. um but yeah, there's like, and mind you, I'm like, okay, me as a human on Earth, I don't even know what some of this is. I know these are like equations and fractions or whatever. I was like, okay, what are we really looking at here? I'm like, this looked like some assignment. I'm like, okay, like, is these chromosomes? Are these, you know, and like this, and that's probably research I got to do. But at the same time, it's like, how would, as a human on this planet, I don't know what this means. So how is somebody else on another planet going to understand? But but yeah, and then they have like this images of like a fetus, and then like the man and woman, um, someone breastfeeding and stuff like that. Diagram of a family of family ages. Huh. I would not have guessed that. Okay, all right. Well, okay, but that's what's on there. Okay, they got images on there. They got pictures, and these are like some of the things that they have on there, like different people around the world. Students learning in school. They're like an X-ray. Okay, and then like daytime and nighttime. That's cool. And, and it's interesting because um yeah, we got like airplanes. And I feel like to us as all right, even the things that's like Um, Not necessarily hard to understand, but like easy to understand. Um, you know, to think about it from a perspective of somebody that probably wouldn't be used to it, like, okay, like even this picture of an airplane, like to us is like, all right, whatever, we take airplanes all the time. But to somebody else that might not even know what that is, it'd be like, yo, what is that? Like, why is this in the air like this? You know? Okay. So yeah, there's like a bunch of images all over. And so, okay. And so for copyright reasons, they can't show every picture, but those are, some of the pictures on there. And then with the music, there's like a playlist. And there's like different music from all over the world that they put on there. And I feel like it's not enough. I'm like, who made the playlist? Child, let me make the playlist. Okay, all right, yeah. I'm like, why is Zoom so close? But yeah, like, and then like the Earth, volcanoes, earthquake, thunder, mud pots, wind, rain, crickets, birds, just different life, and then just sounds of Earth. And yeah, I just feel like that's so cool. Okay, hold on. Oh, so it's on Voyager 1 and 2, I think. So it's like a time capsule, essentially. But I thought it was only on one of them. I mean, it would make sense for it to be on two. But yeah, so you know, that was yeah, exciting for me to learn. And so yeah, I mean, and there's more stuff you have to look into it. But yeah, I just thought that was so interesting, and like I'm just like, no wonder why I'm so into interstellar space travel. I was like, look, there has to be more to this. Like, not only is there more to like the experience on Earth, but bro, there has to be more to this whole like universe, galaxy, you know, one galaxy, but galaxies within the universe, that would probably be like hard to understand even with physics. You know what I'm saying? Like there's stuff even on this planet that physics can't explain, when it comes to energy and magic and your like spirit. And so I'm sure there's things in the cosmos that we couldn't even comprehend logically as with our human minds. Um, so yeah, so when I watched that video, it kind of like calmed me down a little bit, but it gave me a realization of like, okay, you know, like I was having a moment of like frustration, and then I was like going through this feeling of like, damn, like I really don't feel like these motherfuckers get me. Like I'm really trying. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to do the right thing. Um, you know, but then again, I was just like, look, I just got to stay the course. And know that like there's a purpose here, and like, and I'm really trying to clear my karma because I don't want to come back to this planet. Um, I mean, I don't know, maybe like, okay, I do want to experience Earth. Like, okay, I do think Earth is a beautiful place, right? I think this planet is dope. In terms of like, I feel like in terms of like the different environments that's here, from like the islands to the mountains, the different weather that we can experience here, the different seasons, the changing of the colors of leaves, just on the East Coast, let alone different places in the world, like rainforests and just different cultures and traditions. And I just feel like everything that makes us different here on Earth is what makes it so beautiful. And because of that, like I feel like it's a beautiful place to be. Despite the challenges, despite the negativity of the world and the wars or whatever. But I do feel like there's beautiful places here, and it's worth exploring, but not everybody gets that luxury, but you can make this world and make your reality what you want to make it. So, like, I guess for me, it's like, I really want to make the best out of my experience here on Earth as Nerese the human. Um, I know that sounds weird saying, but like, I really want to make the most of this experience in this physical vessel, in this physical reality. But, I want to like clear my karma so like I could just live this life full. Like something that Oprah says a lot is like she wants to, you know, I guess she wants to go through life and get to a point where like she experienced everything she could and just like leave this planet empty. Like she gave everything she could have, she experienced everything she could have experienced, and fulfilled all the things that she would have wanted to. And I'm like, yo, I feel that, so I'm like, I want to get to a space where I can do that too. Like, I can do my purpose, make this music because I really feel like that's a part of it, with the, creativity and just the vision that I have. Um, and, just the perspective that I have. I really feel like I want to do that. And I know the message and the things that I have to say in my music will inspire and uplift somebody. And then also, like, even if it's not inspiring, if it's something where it's just like me being honest about not always feeling positive and wanting to tussle with bitches, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's valid too. And and there's people who probably feel like that. And I feel like music is one of the strongest ways for us to connect with one another and express ourselves honestly. And I know that's something that can outlive me. But while I'm here, I want to have like a great experience. I want to clear out all my karma so I could just like not have to come back here. Like, I want to like have the full experience that I can here on this planet, like travel, see all the things that I can see, meet all the people, like, and just like do as much as I can and not have to come back on Earth and like do the whole reincarnation thing and try to like figure out your karmic stuff. Like, I don't want to do all that. I just want to like figure it out here and and then just go back wherever I'm from. Because I don't think this planet is where I'm from. But I think it's a cool one though. I think and and I feel like that's probably why I'm so into like exoplanets and like I don't know, something. I don't know, I just feel like I know there's more to this like universe, and I just always like and even with Galaxy, like another song that I wrote that people should know about. But so I'm like talking a lot, and which I ran out of water. But even that, like, I mean, I say that like the lyrics in that is like a triple entendre. I'm saying like a lot of things at once, but it's like I know I go too far. Don't want to be down to earth anymore. I want to be amongst the stars. He still calls me the Queen of Mars, and I don't claim that part of the solar system anymore. Um, I know there's more to explore into the galactic where my dreams run rampant. Ain't no meteorites finna stop me. Don't care who's trying to top me. The only competition is the older version of me who tried to fit in this society. Now I'm just in my own galaxy. And yeah, valid. I feel like those things are very true for me. Um, and I know like I'm again speaking of like triple entendres, like or maybe a quadruple entendre. for that. Like, okay, so I know I go too far. I don't want to be down to earth anymore. I want to be amongst the stars. He still calls me the queen of Mars, and I don't claim that part of the solar system anymore. No, there's more to explore into the galactic. Okay, going too far. Like, I know sometimes I can be impulsive, like I do a lot, I can be problematic, whatever, right? And then like don't want to be down to earth anymore. It's like, and then also like, I feel like people say like, oh, you should be humble and this and that. And then sometimes like, you should be able to talk your shit and know like you're worthy of being in certain spaces and knowing that you deserve a seat at the table, if not a right to build your own, you know? And so there's that. And then like also like a reference to down to Mars, like don't want to be down to Earth anymore. Want to be amongst the stars, like um and then like also literally like I guess amongst the stars, like amongst like like the celebrities and like the A-listers or whatever, just like okay, like I don't want to be like the like I want to elevate, like throughout my career, but then also like legitimately like I want to be amongst the stars, like in the cosmos. He still calls me the queen of Mars. I mean he didn't call me that, but he referencing my ex, because he like threw shade to me in a song, like "Send her ass on a rocket ship" or some shit like that. Is what he said, but I made it positive for me. um, but then like also like okay, I don't claim that part of the solar system anymore. I know there's more to explore into the galactic, like kind of like my what I was saying about Elon. It's like okay, fuck Mars. Like there's more. Like what about interstellar travel? Legitimately traveling it through space, and then also another Down Mars reference. Um, yeah, so like I mean, there's a lot there. I'm talking about like actual space travel. I'm talking about like my career of things, and then just like me personally, like I know sometimes I go too far. But then also like I dream big, like like I know I want to be amongst the stars. Like I dream, like they say shoot for the stars. If you like miss, you'll land on the moon or some shit like that. And like literally, like for your dreams. I know sometimes I go too far. I know I dream big. I know I can be a little impulsive, or I used to be. I don't know. I don't think I'm as impulsive as I used to be. But yeah. So like basically, long story short, I like to make a lot of space references, and I feel like, and I was always into space, always into like the cosmos. I mean, I'm told that my name was from Star Trek. And and that's a whole nother TED talk. But I'll take that because like, I'm really into trying to trek the stars. And I've always been into that. And like, my dad, he wanted to be an astronaut. And I guess for me, like me wanting to like create a space program, like in a way that was me really wanting to like try to make his dreams come true. Um, but I don't know if he took it that way or not. But whatever, it doesn't matter now. Um, but um, but yeah. So like my whole point in that was just like, despite everything that I was feeling, that video just made a lot of sense for me. I just felt like, wow, that really explains how I've been feeling on this planet. Um, and and it might seem like ridiculous to some people, but I totally get it. I was just like, bitch, just make a lot of sense. That's why I don't like these humans. But at the same time, it's like I be trying to like be good for this planet. Like, I try to like care, and I really do. I do care. Um, you know, but I know like okay, I know I can't save the world, and that's not like something that I aim to do. I mean, I say it, but like it really matters to me to like empower people to save themselves, really. And for me, it's just like I don't know, in my whole journey, and my experience of, just the adversities and the challenges that I go through. Like, I don't know. Even if I really wanted to give up, I just don't know. I don't think I can. But then also at the same time, it's like I know at some point in life, if not now, me not giving up is showing somebody else how to not give up when they feel like the world is against them, or they feel like, you know, um, discouraged, or, they feel like they don't have the support that they wish, or, they feel doubtful. I would just hope that other people will feel inspired to keep going and not give up on themselves, even when it feels like everybody else gave up on them. And hopefully, like, if there's like a definition of like believe in yourself, don't give up on yourself, my picture would be right next to it, because like, bitch, if that's not me, then I don't know who. Um, and you know, I just hope that I don't know, my existence here can be a positive one. So yeah, so I was watching that video, and it made me think of Space Jam, and just like everything that I felt writing that song. And I was just like, for the first time, I felt like, whoa, I feel seen. Like, I feel seen and heard. And of course, the lady's dead. And I'm like, "Ugh, girl, you couldn't have been alive for a few more years." Because I was like, yo, I need to write this woman. But then when I looked it up, I was like, oh, she passed. Damn. But I think I just need to do like a deep dive. Or everybody like faces at you. But I need to do a deep dive of like her books. She has a lot of them. I'm just like, oh my god. But whatever. Hopefully, I can do work so I can get to a space where I can just like chill in the ocean and read. Um, you know, it's either like space things or like underwater. Like, I don't know. Water, like, I feel like, well, for one, like when it comes to the cosmos, like um my sign is Aquarius, right? And Aquarius is the water bearer, even though it's an air sign. And I'm like really into like mermaids too. Um, and just like sea things. And I really like seafood too. I'm like very much a surf and turf kind of girl. Um, and yeah, so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. In terms of like the mystical things. And I think mermaids are real. I think that's a they're a legit. That's a whole nother thing piece. But this video is 3 hours long. Woo, baby. Mm, absolutely not. What I thought this was going to be. But yeah, so it's late, and I'm tired, and I'm hungry too. I meant to eat dinner. I didn't expect this video to be as long as it is, but I did want to get this off my chest. I wanted to say this, and I'm glad that I waited, because had I did this a day earlier, this would have been a more toxic video. I mean, I had like my little toxic little moment where, but I said it wasn't a motivational video. It wasn't that. So like, yeah, there was a moment where I wanted to tussle with my bandmate. I did. But I feel like that's normal though. You know what I mean? Like, be having moments of conflict. Like, a majority of the time we got along. But then at the same time, that's kind of like a problem though, because it's like when there is actually problems, like people aren't actually speaking up and voicing it. And that's where I had the problem. Because I'm like, bitch, if you got a problem, why can't you fucking tell me? Like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But and that goes for everybody. Everybody's bitch, not just her. She's one of them. But everybody that, I considered a loved one or a friend or whatever, that play games rather than just keeping it real with me, because like, bro, I love y'all, I care for y'all, but not no more though. That's done. I mean, like, I have love for them, and like, forgiveness, because I'm trying to like not have karma so I don't have to come back to this planet. But you know I mean, like, I will forgive at some point, but you know it's just like I'm not falling back into like the webs or traps of these people. Like, I try to keep it cute. If I have to communicate with them, I really don't want to. But the only way y'all will ever get, like, let's just be clear, you know, let's just be very clear. The only way anybody from my like past life, not past life, but like anyone that I've had a relationship can have any access to me at this point is like you're willing to expose yourself the way God was willing to expose me. Period. If you willing to tell the truth, answer some questions honestly, and tell me what the fuck has been going on for years, and and really explain some shit to me, then we can talk. Then maybe I might consider even talking to y'all. That's not guaranteed that there's going to be a relationship of any kind. So like anybody that likes to reference rings and like love and all this shit and previous lovers, like, okay, that's cute. That's a cute little reference. But like, how about we reference the truth? How about we reference some authenticity? How about we reference, the truth behind Echo and Narcissist and this mysterious platform? And until y'all ready to expose that, I'm really okay with people not being in my life. I'm really okay with that. So, and I'm a lot happier without certain people in my life. So it's really okay with me. But again, like until y'all ready to expose yourselves, like y'all exposed me, we ain't got shit to talk about. But God bless you. God bless you. I hope all is well with you. I don't actually feel like tussling y'all, but if it comes to it, then like shit. It's like, no, I don't want to speak that into existence. I'm joking. I'm joking. But like, I do wish people well. And I will get to a space where I will be forgiving, just because I know it's the right thing to do. And I know that's the right thing to do for me. I will say that selfishly. I know it's the right thing to do for me to move on. So, yeah. Um, but I hope this was an interesting conversation. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Shout out to the people who stuck around and watched. I'm grateful to y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed. Um, and yeah, I'll be back to discuss some things later, possibly. So, yeah, that's the end of this. I hope y'all have a good night. I'm going to chill. And we got business cards, baby. And we got business cards. We got business cards. Hey, 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 hey. We got business cards. And not just one. I was like, oh no, we're not just doing one fly business card. We going to have two options, baby. Let's go. So we got this one. No, y'all can't really see it that well. And then this one. I think this one's my favorite because it's the close up. You can really see it. But this is cool too because it's like the ambiance and like the vibe. And you see the guitar and the mic stand and the amp and all that. But this is really like, bitch, I'm bad. All right, y'all. It is over 3 hours, and this live stream was way longer than I wanted it to be. Oh yeah, and Canva, we gotta talk. We gotta talk because bitch, y'all cut my shit off. No, y'all gonna fix this, respectfully. So yeah. All right. Have a good night. Shout out to the people who have popped in and joined the chat. I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all. It's your girl Nerese and my divine darlings. I am outie, and I might talk to y'all tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after. We'll see. All right. Good night, y'all.